Chapter 408. No matter where, an alchemist was a highly respected profession. The pills they refined had all kinds of magical effects, such as healing injuries and saving lives, increasing a cultivator's speed, changing a cultivator's physique, and even allowing a cultivator to advance directly. Alchemists were always respected figures on this continent. The higher the rank, the more extraordinary the degree of respect they received. In the northwest or the south, alchemists above the fourth rank were extremely rare, but they would occasionally appear in other places. Fifth-rank alchemists were extremely rare. In the northwest or the south, the number of alchemists above the fifth rank would definitely not exceed the fingers on one hand. They were all big shots of their respective sex and rarely showed their faces. Between these two places, there was only one alchemist who had reached the sixth rank, Danchen Dao. This showed how rare alchemists were and how difficult it was to raise their rank. However, the young man in front of them, who was less than 20 years old, claimed to be a fifth-rank alchemist. This shocked them to the extreme. If an ordinary young man had told them that he was a fifth-grade alchemist, they wouldn't have even thought about it before tearing that young man apart. Then they would have cursed. Do you think fifth-grade alchemists are cabbages that can be found anywhere? However, the young man in front of them completely convinced them. Just based on the fact that he could casually take out a high-rank pill and create a middle-stage Earth Emperor in front of them, they had to believe it even if they did not want to. If he was not a fifth-rank alchemist, where did he get the high-rank pill? Even if it was given by the elders of the clan, how precious was this pill? How could it be given away so easily? This showed that he was fearless and did not take the pill seriously at all. With his methods, as long as he had the materials, he could refine it at any time. You only have 15 minutes to consider. After that, we will enter Gu City, and our fate will end here, Ling Xiao said indifferently to the two people who were in a daze. He wanted to force the two to make a decision. If they surrendered, it would be the best. If they did not, then it would end here. On the side, Xianxia saw how Ling Xiao was enticing the two high-level Earth Emperors step by step, making them unable to stop. In his heart, his evaluation of Ling Xiao increased by a lot. As expected of the future Holy Emperor. He's worthy of me following him. Xianxia was filled with admiration. On the other side, the Demon Emperor did not notice what Ling Xiao was doing. He only stared in the direction of Gu City, and his expression gradually became frenzied. So many energy remnant souls. Demon Emperor transmitted to Ling Xiao. Don't worry, they're all yours. You won't be able to escape. Ling Xiao knew that the Demon Emperor could devour soul fragments to recover, and he could sense the Demon Emperor's impatience. Forget it. Forget it. I, the crazy Taoist, have always been arrogant and arrogant. I have always been free and unfettered. Asking me to submit to a junior like you is really an insult to my dignity. I don't have the fortune to enjoy it. I'm leaving. The crazy Taoist shook his head and looked very determined. He sighed and flew toward Gu City on the back of the Earth-Eye Eagle. Watching the crazy Taoist leave, Ling Xiao was very disappointed. A high-level Earth Sovereign Realm cultivator was clearly within reach, but it was gone in the blink of an eye. Can he really resist the temptation? Ling Xiao muttered in his heart. Then he looked at Poison Scorpion and said, "Are you going to make the same choice as him?" The black fan in Poison Scorpion's hand had already stopped swaying, and his expression was very serious. This was a difficult choice for him. Both he and the crazy Taoist were arrogant and unruly people. Their strength was about the same, but he was different from the crazy Taoist. The crazy Taoist had always been arrogant, but he liked to play tricks and poison others. However, facing this young man in front of him, he felt a little ashamed of his inferiority. A low-level king rank expert was actually talking cheerfully and wittily when facing them, and he didn't seem nervous or restrained in the slightest. Moreover, he was advancing step by step in order to entice them to take the bait. Such courage and wisdom were truly not something that an ordinary person could accomplish. You are called the Poison Emperor, so your poison technique must be unparalleled in the world. How about this? I will stand here and let you use any poison you want. As long as you can poison me to death, everything on my body will be yours. They won't be able to do anything to you. But if you can't poison me to death, you will submit to me and serve me as your master for the rest of your life. How about it? Ling Xiao said faintly. Are you serious? Poison Scorpion's eyes lit up. Before Ling Xiao could reply, Kai Shiyue immediately said in a sweet voice, absolutely not. Then she stared at Ling Xiao and said seriously, "Husband, the Poison Emperor's poison technique is famous throughout the world. How can you put yourself in danger? With your ability, a lot of people will follow you. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Poison Emperor by your side." Kai Xiaoyue wholeheartedly leaned towards Ling Xiao. Naturally, she didn't want anything to happen to Ling Xiao. Even if she was asked to die for him, she wouldn't even frown. But if something happened to Ling Xiao, she would definitely die for him. Xianxia said, "Don't take things too hard. If you really want to test the poison on your body, then first keep your good things for me, so that the fat water doesn't flow out." "Get lost!" Ling Xiao shouted at Xianxia angrily. Then he said to Kai Xiaoyue tenderly, "Don't worry, my husband's life is precious. Ordinary little poisons can't do anything to me." Feeling the confidence in Ling Xiao's eyes, Kai Xiaoyue's heart gave birth to a blind sense of trust. Her firm belief from a moment ago instantly collapsed. She couldn't help but nod her head and say, "Then you must be careful." Ling Xiao gently pinched her elastic cheek and said to Poison Scorpion, "Come. You have to think carefully. My nickname is not random," Poison Scorpion said doubtfully. He really couldn't understand why Ling Xiao had such great confidence to take his poison. The reason why he was called the Poison Scorpion of the four great evildoers was not undeserved. Once, the supreme elder of a medium-sized family went to the barbarian region with him, and seized a high-grade spirit herb that he was about to obtain. In a rage, he chased for tens of thousands of miles and broke into the medium-sized family alone. He poisoned more than 1,000 people in the family to death, including more than a dozen king stage experts and 2 Earth Emperors. Relying on this battle, his name, Poison Scorpion, resounded throughout the southern wasteland. He obtained the title of Poison Emperor and became one of the 5 great evildoers. "Cut the crap. Come on, I'm in a hurry to get into the city." Ling Xiao waved his hand disdainfully at the Poison King. Poison Scorpion said with a gloomy face, "Since you are so confident, then I will let you have a taste of being attacked by 10,000 poisons." After saying that, a strong poisonous gas revolved around his body, and the surrounding air became turbid and black. "You guys retreat first." Ling Xiao became serious and shouted to Kai Xiaoyue, Xianxia, and the Demon Emperor. At this time, Poison Scorpion's eyes were red, and his face had turned green. He didn't have the slightest bit of his previous handsomeness. The 4-winged Scorpion King under his feet let out strange hissing sounds of excitement. Its 4 wings were constantly flapping, and its mouth was swallowing dark green scorpion venom. The scorpion beast was one of the most poisonous spirit beasts in the world. Once it came into contact with it, even a king stage expert would immediately turn into nothingness. Even an earthly sovereign wouldn't necessarily have it any better. Now, the poisonous gas that had merged with his beast was the most terrifying scorpion venom of Poison Scorpion. Once the scorpion venom was released, everything within 100 miles would be poisoned. "Enjoy this feast." Poison Scorpion revealed a malevolent smile. Then, he spread out his palms, and 2 streams of greenish-black mist attacked Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao didn't try to resist or evade. He just let the poisonous mist touch his arms. Sizzle! Just as the poisonous mist touched Ling Xiao's arms, thick corrosive smoke came out, and disgusting poisonous pustules instantly swelled up. The poisonous mist seeped into Ling Xiao's skin and invaded his meridians and internal organs. In the blink of an eye, Ling Xiao's whole body became bloated and terrifying. The poisonous pustules on his skin seemed to be bitten by poisonous scorpions, and a corrosive and poisonous stench soared into the sky, making people feel extremely disgusted. Ling Xiao knew that in addition to his skin and internal organs being attacked, his nervous system was also numbed, and he was gradually losing consciousness. "Husband, you have to hold on." Kai Xiaoyue couldn't bear to see Ling Xiao in such a miserable state, and she cried out in alarm. Xianxia also couldn't bear it and turned his face away. Although he had full confidence in Ling Xiao, this kind of extraordinary torture wasn't something an ordinary person could endure. "Don't die," Xianxia worriedly said in his heart. Only the Demon Emperor on the side didn't say anything, as if he wasn't worried that something would happen to Ling Xiao. "You can't take it anymore, right? Even a peak monarch can't endure this poison, and even a venerable wouldn't dare to touch it, let alone a little monarch like you. Obediently hand over the thing, and maybe I can spare your life." Poison Scorpion licked his lips and said confidently. He understood his scorpion's poison better than anyone else, and unless there was a high-level detoxification pill of the 5th rank or above, anyone who tried would only die. Ling Xiao's handsome face had become extremely ugly, even uglier than the ghost woman and the demon emperor. Poison. Poison Emperor really lives up to his reputation. Ling Xiao said with some difficulty, and then he said, "But that's all." After saying that, Ling Xiao started to expel the poison with all his strength. The ancient Emperor Divine Art started to circulate at full speed, and the 3 parts restoration chi also helped from the side. The innate Yin Wind bead and Blue Demon Fire bead in his Sea of Consciousness also started to move. The ancient Emperor Divine Art had already reached the 4th transformation, and after absorbing the Flood Dragon's blood essence, the Divine Art's effects had been restored. Its recovery ability was monstrous, and with the 3 parts restoration chi's self-healing ability, it first healed his internal organs, then his meridians, and finally his skin. The innate Yin Wind bead absorbed the Scorpion's poison's corrosive baleful energy, and the Blue Demon Fire bead emitted extreme yang flames that burned all Yin and poisonous things. A golden dragon phantom appeared behind Ling Xiao, and it shone with a golden light. The supreme imperial aura seemed incomparably noble. The people at the side all felt a sense of worship. Xianxia couldn't help but exclaim, "Holy! Holy Emperor's aura has already reached the initial stage." The demon emperor, on the other hand, frowned, forcefully suppressing his feelings of admiration. After all, he was once an emperor, and wouldn't be easily convinced. Kai Xiaoyu's heart was trembling incessantly, and the love in her heart was becoming stronger and stronger. "My husband is truly mighty." Poison Scorpion clenched his fists tightly, looking at Ling Xiao with an expression of disbelief. How can he resist my scorpion's poison? This is impossible." Poison Scorpion exclaimed in a daze. Chapter 409. In the sky not far from Gu City, there was the image of a golden dragon that was tens of meters tall roaring, and the supreme might of the dragon was enough to subdue everyone. Under the golden dragon's image, a young man in his 20s was glowing with a golden light. His rotting skin was gradually growing new skin and flesh at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. The poisonous pus scars were also slowly shrinking and disappearing, and the black poisonous gas was burned into nothingness by the blue flames that were emerging from his body. This is a dual-attribute metal and fire cultivator. Poison Scorpion couldn't help but exclaim. He had always been quite confident in his scorpion venom. Even if an Empyrean was hit by his scorpion venom, they would probably have to go through a lot of trouble to force it out of their bodies. Yet, Ling Xiao was only a young man in his 20s, and he was only at the low-level king stage. Yet, he was actually gradually dispelling his scorpion venom. How could he possibly have such abnormal strength? When he saw that Ling Xiao was a dual-attribute metal and fire cultivator, Poison Scorpion was slightly moved. Martial artists who cultivated dual attributes were generally the strongest among those of the same level. However, he still didn't understand how this dual attribute could force his scorpion venom out of his body. What's with that golden dragon image? Could it be because of the high-grade cultivation technique he cultivates? Poison Scorpion guessed. Not long after, Ling Xiao once again restored his handsome face. His skin emitted a bronze-gold color, and he looked extremely sturdy and strong, giving him a noble and domineering temperament. Ling Xiao's body shook, and a small ball of black poisonous gas shot out from his mouth. The poisonous gas was like a startled bird, and it actually fled at an extremely fast speed. Ling Xiao laughed sinisterly, and with a wave of his hand, a blue flame formed into a small dragon that shot towards the poisonous gas. Sizzle! The moment the poisonous gas came into contact with the blue flame, it was immediately incinerated, leaving not a single trace in the air. Ling Xiao sensed his own body and found that there was not a trace of poison left. He smiled at Poison Scorpion and said, "Your poison is not bad, but if you want to take this young master's life, it seems that you are not qualified." Poison Scorpion's face alternated between red and green. He was renowned throughout the southern wasteland as the Poison Emperor, but he never expected that the poison that he was so proud of would be unable to harm a mere king-level martial artist. How could he accept this? Kai Xiaoyue came to Ling Xiao and asked, "Husband, are you okay?" Looking at the worry and tenderness in Kai Xiaoyue's beautiful eyes, Ling Xiao held her in his arms, kissed her heavily on the forehead, and said, "Of course it's okay. Don't you think about what kind of person your husband is? Husband, you're amazing." Kai Xiaoyue was infatuated and praised, hugging Ling Xiao tightly, not wanting to let go. Xianxia had goosebumps as he listened to the two flirting. Hugging like this in the hall in front of so many people, what a scandal! Xianxia cried out in his heart. Submit to this young master, and your path will be even further. Are you willing to stay in this small southern wasteland? Ling Xiao stared at Poison Scorpion and said faintly. Poison Scorpion took a deep breath, clenched his fists, and finally lowered his proud head, bowed to Ling Xiao, and said, Scorpion greets young master. Scorpion is willing to serve young master as his master. If I have any other thoughts, I am willing to be crippled of my cultivation base and flayed to death. Good. This young master is like a tiger that has grown wings. As long as you are willing to follow this young master can promise you that within 3 years, you will definitely reach the Empyrean level. Ling Xiao was overjoyed. He shouted a few times and flashed to the front of Poison Scorpion to help him up. At this point, Ling Xiao's 5 personal servants had appeared one by one. His 5 personal servants would also follow him and become famous in the future. After subduing Poison Scorpion, Ling Xiao was in a good mood, but he did not immediately give Poison Scorpion the 10 Millennia Stone emulsion. He wanted to wait until he came out of Goose City before giving it to him. After all, Poison Scorpion had just submitted, and entering Goose City would be the first test of his loyalty. If he could not even pass the first test, then what was the point of taking him in? Young master, should we go now? Otherwise, all the good things will be taken by them, Poison Scorpion suggested. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. There's no rush. Goose City has not been attacked for many years. Although the major powers are powerful now, it does not mean that they can take down Goose City so quickly. The resentful souls inside are not easy to deal with. Then young master does not plan to go in? Poison Scorpion asked. Of course not. Let's go to the surface first. I will refine something to guarantee that you will not be affected by the resentful souls when you enter Goose City, Ling Xiao said mysteriously. What kind of thing can be unaffected by the resentful souls? Everyone was puzzled. It had to be known that resentful souls were things that could not be touched or seen clearly. Without a powerful soul perception, it was impossible to catch them. However, since Ling Xiao had said so, he must be confident. Everyone was becoming more and more unclear of Ling Xiao's abilities. Just what did he not know? Ling Xiao, Kai Shiyue, Xianxia, the Demon Emperor, and Poison Scorpion landed on the peak of a mountain. Ling Xiao opened up a cave and entered it alone. He took out the Millennium Night Pearl to illuminate the cave. These 2 little things have finally come in handy, Ling Xiao muttered. 2 small green balls and a pure and shiny diamond-shaped crystal appeared in his hands. This was the pair of green eyes and demon crystal that Ling Xiao had obtained from killing the illusory demon in the illusory valley of the desolate mountain range. The level of the illusory demon was not high, but it could confuse creatures with souls, make them work for it, or produce all kinds of illusions to harm themselves. Thinking of the thrilling scene where the illusory demon almost broke his brain and ate it, Ling Xiao still felt a chill in his head. After Ling Xiao killed the illusory demon, he kept its green eyes and demon crystal. Later, he looked up the effects of the illusory demon's green eyes and demon crystal in the book depository pavilion of the sect. The green eyes could be combined with some high-level spiritual herbs to refine a potion called illusion breaking. As long as this potion was applied to the eyes, it could see through all nothingness for a period of time, and would not be confused by illusions. This potion could also help anyone see the location of the remnant souls between heaven and earth. At this time, Ling Xiao was planning to refine this potion to help the people around him see the location of the resentful souls, so that they could destroy the resentful souls and not be attacked by them. Ling Xiao was already a 5th-grade alchemist, and the spiritual herbs collected in the obsidian cauldron were quite abundant. Concocting the illusion-breaking potion was already a piece of cake. In less than half an hour, the medicinal cauldron was filled with half a cauldron of green liquid. Ling Xiao carefully put it away. He did not need this potion, but in the future, the people around him could use it. After all, in some powerful secret realms, there would be illusions and restrictions laid down by powerful martial artists. With this illusion-breaking potion, one could see through all nothingness. After Ling Xiao finished refining the potion, he was not in a hurry to go out. He still wanted to absorb the demon crystal. This demon crystal had an even more powerful effect. It could help him expand his spiritual see, unlock the mysteries of his eyes, and have the illusion-breaking function at all times. This was also the reason why Ling Xiao did not need the potion. The illusory demon's level was not high, but it had a long lifespan. The energy in its demon crystal was extremely pure and vast. At the same time that Ling Xiao absorbed it, he felt that his spiritual sea had expanded a lot. The amount of spiritual liquid in it had directly doubled, reaching more than 1,000 drops, forming a small pool of spiritual liquid that occupied a quarter of his spiritual sea. Ling Xiao felt that his spiritual state was incomparably good. With a slight sweep of his divine sense, even the slightest movement of grass within a radius of several thousand meters could not escape his senses. At the same time, his eyes began to change. As long as he focused his eyes, a faint green light appeared on his eyeballs, and his vision became extremely clear. Even the tiny reptile in the corner was clearly seen by him. He seemed to be able to see things under the surface of the ground as well. It was as if his eyes had an additional function of X-ray vision. This magical? Ling Xiao exclaimed. Next, he tried to see through the layers of obstacles on the mountain wall to see what he could discover. However, he found that this X-ray function was very limited. He could only see less than a meter before he couldn't see through it. My goodness, could this be the legendary X-ray eyes? Then wouldn't this young master be rich? Ling Xiao excitedly rubbed his hands and muttered his guess. Ling Xiao was right. His eyes had now changed. He had absorbed the illusory demon's demon crystal, and already possessed most of the functions of the illusory demon's green eyes. However, his eyes could not be called X-ray eyes. It would be more appropriate to call them green pupils. In addition to being able to see through all nothingness, the green pupils also had the X-ray ability to see through the essence of everything. Ling Xiao packed up everything in the cave and walked out of the cave in high spirits. The four people immediately surrounded him. Ling Xiao took the opportunity to look at Xianxia. His eyes were suffused with a faint green light. His vision directly penetrated the clothes Xianxia was wearing, and he saw the white jade, smooth and delicate skin, as well as the towering virgin peaks and the mysterious black fragrant grass. Puff! Ling Xiao's nose bleed uncontrollably. Husband, what's wrong? Xianxia stepped forward and asked with concern. Ling Xiao shook off his eyes and diverted his attention. He wiped the blood from his nostrils and said, I just concocted medicine, and my heat rose a little. Don't worry. Heavens, you finally opened your eyes and gave this young master something good. With this function, which beauty can escape this young master's peach blossom eyes? Ling Xiao thought proudly in his heart. Brother Ling, your eyes just now seemed a little different? Xianxia noticed that Ling Xiao's eyes were different and asked with some worry. What difference could there be? It's just that my eyes are a little more charming than others, Ling Xiao said with a wave of his hand. He then took out 4 small bottles and handed them to everyone. This is the destruction potion. With it, you can see those resentful spirits and eliminate them without letting them get close. This way, you won't need to be haunted by resentful spirits when you enter the city. This is a good thing. I didn't expect you to be able to refine it. If this small bottle were to be auctioned in the central region, who knows how many people would fight over it, Xianxia said excitedly as he received the potion. That's right, this potion is extremely precious. The Demon Emperor also agreed. Ling Xiao didn't have time to study the value of this potion. He already had the green pupils, so this potion wasn't worth mentioning. Let's go. I believe they've been waiting anxiously, Ling Xiao said and took the lead to fly towards Gu City. Chapter 4:10. Gu City was a city with a long history. It had existed for who knew how many tens of thousands of years. Although it had lost its former glory, it was still famous. Countless people in the southern wasteland wanted to reopen this ancient city, but they still returned without success. Instead, they were forever left in the city, becoming resentful souls. When Ling Xiao's group arrived in the sky above Gu City, a strong sense of oppression assaulted their hearts. Other than Ling Xiao, the other 4 had already applied the illusion dispelling potion. They could all see the countless resentful souls shrouding the city. The malevolent remnant souls were extremely frightening. They looked at the tens of thousands of resentful souls and felt their scalps go numb. Back then, the bloodline of the Gu race was almost wiped out. The city must have been filled with rivers of blood and corpses. Otherwise, it wouldn't have become such an ominous place. Xianyao's eyes were filled with indignation as he muttered, his expression filled with indescribable sorrow. Back then, the Gu race was so powerful that even they were wiped out. It's enough to show how powerful the people from the central region are, Poison Scorpion said from the side. Unless we can kill all the resentful souls here, it will be difficult for Gu City to reappear, Xianxia said. Let's go down. This place is even more terrifying than what we imagined. You must be careful. Don't get entangled by these resentful souls, Ling Xiao reminded them and was the first to descend from the sky. Behind him, the Demon Emperor revealed a greedy expression. He transmitted to Ling Xiao, Young Master, I want to absorb them. Go, just don't get devoured by them, Ling Xiao replied. The Demon Emperor laughed heartily after receiving Ling Xiao's consent. He flew towards the place with the most resentful souls. What is Young Master doing? Poison Scorpion asked in confusion. Don't mind him, Ling Xiao replied indifferently. The group finally landed on the ground. As soon as they landed, dozens of resentful souls turned into ghostly faces and pounced at them. Whoosh! You're courting death. Poison Scorpion was eager to show off. He formed a poisonous mist in his hand and attacked the resentful souls. However, not only did the vengeful spirits not destroy the vengeful spirits, they became even more vicious instead. Resentful spirits are afraid of fire and light. Your poisonous gas is useless against them, Xianxia said as a pure, multicolored light appeared in his hand. Swoosh! The pure multicolored light pierced through the resentful souls. Before the resentful souls could escape, they were all turned into nothingness. Don't worry about it. We're not here to exterminate these resentful spirits. Hurry up and find the place where the Gu clan sacrificed their Gu, Ling Xiao said. His entire body was covered in a blue flame, making it difficult for the evil aura to enter his body. He didn't want to waste time here. Finding the Heaven Gu divine technique was the most important thing. Rosy clouds, moon, and golden clouds covered her body. She was incomparably beautiful as she followed closely behind Ling Xiao. Xianxia, on the other hand, was shining with a white light, like a white jade without any glow. No evil could attack his body. Poison Scorpion had an evil nature and the demonic energy in the air had become his nourishment. At the same time, he had a high-leveled fire attribute profound weapon in his hand, which was enough for him to disperse those vengeful spirits that were flying towards him. The group didn't go far before countless resentful spirits chased after them one after another. If they hadn't applied the hallucinogen dispelling potion, they would have died countless times. Poison Scorpion secretly felt lucky that he had followed Ling Xiao. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know what was going on when he came here. They didn't go far when Ling Xiao stopped and shouted in surprise. Who is it? Come out! Rosy Clouds, Xianxia, and Poison Scorpion were shocked. They only cared about exterminating the resentful spirits and didn't know that someone was following them. A figure emitting an intense fiery glow leaped out from behind a building. Senior Nangong! Ling Xiao exclaimed when he saw the person. The one following them was Nangong Lai. Master Ling, you actually don't show your true appearance. You actually have a secret method to see through the resentful spirits. This old man will go with you, Nangong Lai said while cupping his hands. Ever since he knew that Ling Xiao was a 5th-grade alchemist, he didn't dare to consider himself a senior. Instead, he looked at Ling Xiao as someone of the same level. With Senior Nangong accompanying me, Ling Xiao couldn't ask for more, Ling Xiao replied. He then took out a bottle of potion and handed it to Nangong Lai, saying, Senior Nangong, if you apply it, you can see where the resentful spirits are. This way, you won't be afraid of being attacked by the resentful spirits. When they were going to the southern wasteland, Nangong Lai had taken good care of Ling Xiao, so this bottle of potion could be considered to be of some help to Nangong Lai. Nangong Lai was overjoyed. He thought to himself, this kid really has a plan to deal with it. After he applied the potion, he saw countless resentful spirits and was overjoyed. He then cupped his hands and thanked Ling Xiao. Thank you, Master Ling, for the gift. Just now, he had been using fire to protect his body, so ordinary resentful spirits didn't dare to approach him. However, he knew that there were probably even more powerful resentful spirits in Gu City, so he didn't dare to go in and waited for Ling Xiao's arrival. Before coming to Gu City, he felt that Ling Xiao should have come prepared, and now it seemed that he was right. With Nangong Lai's help, the resentful spirits along the way were all destroyed. These resentful spirits were just ordinary resentful spirits, so they didn't pose much of a threat. There's someone in front. Ling Xiao frowned as he sensed the fluctuations of life in front of him. The group quickened their pace, and sure enough, they saw a few rogue cultivators rolling on the ground with their heads in their hands, screaming non-stop. They've already been devoured by the resentful spirits, Nangong Lai said softly. He raised a raging fire in his hand and killed the few people along with the resentful spirits. I wonder how many people are still alive after this trip. Xianxia sighed. At this time, a scream came from another direction. Elder Lai, save me. Oh no, it's someone from my Nangong family. Nangong Lai immediately exclaimed when he heard the voice. He didn't care about Ling Xiao and the others, and rushed in the direction of the voice. Should we go and have a look? Kai Xiayue asked. Let's go. Senior Nangong can solve it, Ling Xiao replied calmly. Although the resentful spirits here were fierce, Nangong Lai could already see them, and it was enough for him to destroy them one by one. Ling Xiao and the others had only taken a few steps when they found a few corpses on the ground. Judging from their clothes, they should be from the 4 great families. It seems that they're going to be completely annihilated this time, Ling Xiao said calmly. He didn't care about the life and death of others. He only cared about whether he could find the Heaven Gu magic skill. I wonder where the Pill Grandmaster is? I really hope that he, a level 6 Grandmaster, doesn't die here. Poison Scorpion sighed softly. Although Poison Scorpion was one of the 5 great villains, he also respected Danchin Dao's powerful cultivation and his identity as an alchemist. After all, both of them were from the southern region, and they had their own pride and mentality. At this moment, they heard a strange cry. Ha ha ha, what a powerful resentful spirit. Obediently come and accept your death. It's Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke. Poison Scorpion shouted. Let's go and take a look. Ling Xiao sensed a powerful soul fluctuation over there. It seemed that those terrifying resentful spirits were really powerful. He also wanted to see how Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke would subdue these resentful spirits. When they arrived, they saw that the scepter in Ghost Woman's hand was emitting a demonic evil green light, and the Demon Duke's broken eye was also emitting a strange light. In front of them was a seemingly solid phantom. This phantom was dressed strangely, and its eyes were extremely cold. It was holding a cold and elegant scimitar. A condensed resentful spirit. Xianxia couldn't help but exclaim. What a powerful soul. This guy must have been a terrifying existence when he was alive. Ling Xiao frowned. He was an expert in spiritual power, and his perception of soul power was unparalleled. This condensed resentful spirit probably had the strength of a peak Earth Emperor. It was no longer like other resentful spirits that only knew how to attack and devour one's consciousness. It could even attack as if it had a life of its own. It was one of the most terrifying types of resentful spirits. The Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke weren't afraid of this resentful spirit at all. Instead, they were extremely excited. The skull on Ghost Woman's scepter emitted a green light that shot straight at the resentful spirit. The Demon Duke's hands actually turned into inhuman claws that pounced at the resentful spirit. The resentful spirit lightly stomped its feet, and the scimitar in its hand turned into countless blade lights that blocked the skull's green light and sealed off the Demon Duke. At the same time, it also displayed an incomparably powerful blade skill to fight the Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke at the same time. This resentful spirit still retained some of its will from when it was alive. It was probably at least a venerable in the past, Xianxia sighed. That's right. If it was allowed to absorb more living souls, I'm afraid that one day it will evolve into something even more terrifying, Poison Scorpion replied. Stop sighing. We've been surrounded, Ling Xiao said solemnly as he glanced around. As soon as he finished speaking, 4 figures appeared not far away from them. When the 4 phantoms appeared, the ordinary vengeful spirits immediately fled. These 4 resentful spirits were dressed similarly to the resentful spirit that was fighting the Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke. They also wielded scimitars and charged towards Ling Xiao and the others. If they couldn't see these figures, even a celestial venerable wouldn't be able to withstand the attacks of 4 resentful spirits that were comparable to peak Earth Emperors. No wonder this place was a forbidden zone for humans. Poison Scorpion took the lead and raised his fire-type sword to attack one of the resentful spirits. However, the resentful spirit seemed to have a life of its own. It quickly floated away and dodged his attack, and the scimitar in its hand slashed towards the back of his head. Poison Scorpion's strength was extraordinary. He immediately raised his sword to block the attack, and the sword forced out waves of raging flames to burn the resentful spirit. Unfortunately, the attribute of Poison Scorpion's profound artifact did not match, and he couldn't display the strength that he should have. He was being attacked by the resentful spirit. On the other side, Xianxia protected Ling Xiao by her side. Her entire body emitted a powerful golden light, and the horsetail whisk in her hand emitted waves of golden light as she fought with a resentful spirit. Xianyao's strength was the lowest, but he released the purest light attribute attack. He could temporarily prevent one of the resentful spirits from getting close to him, but he was almost unable to withstand the resentful spirit's attack. Xianyao waved the white paper fan in his hand, and white butterflies entangled with each other as they flew towards the resentful spirit. The resentful spirit growled and smashed the butterflies with its scimitar. The scimitar then bravely slashed towards Xianyao's head. The resentful spirit's strength was terrifying. It no longer cared about the repulsion of the light attribute and wanted to kill Xianyao in one fell swoop. Xianyao looked at the scimitar in front of him and broke out in a cold sweat. He exclaimed, "My life is over." At that moment, a blue flame took the form of a fire dragon and burned towards the resentful spirit. The resentful spirit panicked. It actually stopped its scimitar attack and immediately retreated. Chapter 4:11. The heavenly fire was an extreme young fire that could burn everything in the world. The vengeful spirits had already condensed into phantoms, but what they feared the most was this kind of extreme young fire. Once touched, even the most powerful vengeful spirit would be burned to ashes. Xianyao wiped his cold sweat and said with lingering fear, "I knew this god wouldn't be a short-lived person." Ling Xiao shouted from the side, "If you don't come over, you won't be able to die even if you have 10 lives. Xianyao didn't dare to be careless and hurried to Ling Xiao's side. He looked at the strange blue flame in Ling Xiao's hand and swallowed his saliva. It's actually a heavenly fire." "You swindler. Your knowledge is extraordinary." Ling Xiao glanced at Xianyao, then controlled the 2 balls of heavenly fire to attack the vengeful spirits that were fighting against Xianxia and Poison Scorpion. When the vengeful spirits encountered the heavenly fire, they immediately fled far away like frightened rabbits. No wonder so many people came in, but none of them came out. "Just these few vengeful spirits are enough to dominate the southern region," Poison Scorpion said with emotion. Xianxia had just stepped into the middle stage of the Earth Emperor realm and was almost unable to deal with the vengeful spirit. She immediately patted her chest and said, "That's right. Although they can't make any elemental attacks, they have the sword skills from when they were alive. It's really hard to guard against. Don't be afraid. With me here they can't hurt you," Ling Xiao said confidently. When Poison Scorpion heard this, he felt his face heat up. He was a dignified high-stage Earth Emperor and a servant, but he couldn't do his best to protect his master. Instead, he was being protected by others. He was truly ashamed. At this time, a second phantom vengeful spirit appeared on the side of the Ghost Hag and Demon Duke. 2 against 2, the Ghost Hag and Demon Duke were forced into a dangerous situation. "Hey, soul-sucking technique!" The Ghost Hag let out a strange cry and slapped the scepter skeleton with her withered old palm. The skeleton immediately left the scepter and flew into the air, emitting a powerful suction force. The nearby vengeful spirits involuntarily flew towards the skeleton. One of the condensed vengeful spirits raised a scimitar and slashed at the skeleton. The demon hag took the opportunity to swallow some blood from her mouth and smear it on the skeleton. When the skeleton was stained with blood, its demonic eyes seemed to come back to life. 2 deep red and green beams of light shot out and collided with the phantom vengeful soul. Woo-woo! When the resentful spirit touched the scarlet-green light, it immediately let out a miserable cry, and the phantom image instantly dissipated. The ghost hag's palms continuously formed mysterious hand seals, binding the phantom. The skeleton once again displayed a powerful suction force, sucking the phantom into it. "Oh, my darling is so full." Ghost Matron immediately grabbed the skeleton in her hand and shouted in joy. The other elder demon had already transformed into a humanoid monster. His strength had actually reached the high-level earthly sovereign realm, and he was evenly matched with a vengeful spirit. "Woo-ha, I'll help you!" cried the ghost woman and immediately rushed over to help the demon duke. This is their paradise. However, I wonder how many powerful vengeful spirits they can deal with? Ling Xiao had never been fond of the ghost matron and the demon duke. He did not want to pay any more attention to them, so he immediately left after speaking to the group. When the few vengeful spirits saw Ling Xiao leave, they did not dare to follow. They seemed to be very afraid of the heavenly flame in Ling Xiao's hand. Helpless, they could only change their target and charge towards the ghost matron and the demon duke. As Ling Xiao and his group continued on their way, they encountered a few more corpses. Looking at their expressions when they died, it was clear that all of them were filled with terror. Among these corpses were loose cultivators and people from the 4 noble clans. However, they did not find anyone from the Demon Shadow Sect or the Deity Dao Union. There are so many vengeful spirits gathered here. There must be something ominous here. It is definitely not that simple. Xianxia pinched his fingers and said with a frown. Poison Scorpion looked at Xianxia with some astonishment, then said indifferently, "There are so many powerful vengeful spirits here, and they are still not ominous? Could there be something even scarier than them?" Poison Scorpion's eyes were filled with disbelief. After all, he felt that Xianxia was too young. How capable could he be? Poison Scorpion's heart was filled with disdain. Ling Xiao ignored the two. Instead, he sent a voice transmission to the Demon Emperor and asked, "What's the situation?" The Demon Emperor did not reply. It was as if he had lost contact with him. Ling Xiao had a bad feeling. Could he have been devoured by the vengeful spirits? We can't let this go on. We have to find the place where the Gu race sacrificed their Gu as soon as possible. Ling Xiao muttered with a frown. Then he said to the people behind him, "Follow me closely." After he said that, the blue flames around him burned even brighter. Everything within a few meters was dyed fiery red. Ling Xiao took the lead and flew up, and the others followed closely behind. Ling Xiao's spiritual sense kept searching the city, trying to sense where the most intense vengeful spirits were. He felt that this was where the Gu race sacrificed their Gu. As Ling Xiao and the others took off, a large number of vengeful spirits swarmed towards them. As Ling Xiao flew, he sent out countless fiery palms to incinerate the vengeful spirits. The deeper they went into the city, the more vengeful spirits there were. It was as if there was no end to them. Everyone was shocked. Just how many people had died in Gu City back then? Ling Xiao thought to himself, "Thank goodness I have the heavenly fire. Otherwise I would have really died." Ling Xiao did not understand why the High Priestess had not explained the situation to him before coming to Gu City. Could it be that the High Priestess had deliberately sent him here to die? Ling Xiao shook his head and cast aside all distracting thoughts before continuing forward. All of a sudden, a powerful soul force rippled, and an imposing figure appeared in front of everyone. This person did not have the slightest trace of life aura, only a dense bloodthirst and resentment. His blood-red eyes were very frightening, and he held a pair of sharp curved blades in his hands, blocking in front of everyone. Poison Scorpion couldn't help but exclaim, "A vengeful spirit!" Everyone's expressions changed. The vengeful spirit in front of them was very different from the previous ones. Its body was no longer an illusory image, but was no different from a real body. This was definitely an overlord among vengeful spirits. "Get out of my way!" Ling Xiao used his firmament palm, and blue flames burned towards the powerful vengeful spirit. However, when the flames reached it, the vengeful spirit disappeared. Where did it go? Everyone was puzzled. With his extraordinary senses, Ling Xiao immediately turned around and cried out, "It's behind you!" Dat! The vengeful spirit silently appeared behind them, and its scimitars unleashed an extremely sharp blade intent. Poison Scorpion and Rosy Dawn Moon hurriedly turned around and used powerful techniques to block it. Rumble! The two of them were sent flying by the vengeful spirit, and they both spat out blood at the same time. The vengeful spirit slashed towards Xianxia. Xianxia's expression changed drastically, and an ordinary-looking mirror instantly appeared in his hand. Whoosh! Xianxia poured spiritual energy into the mirror, and a pure and flawless light shone towards the vengeful spirit. Sensing the annoying light attribute aura, the vengeful spirit repeatedly slashed with its scimitars, unleashing an extremely powerful blade intent, and the light dispersed. Xianxia repeatedly urged the divine light to shine on the vengeful spirit, and for a moment, the vengeful spirit actually managed to block it. However, he had also consumed a lot of energy, and his complexion had become extremely pale. At this time, Ling Xiao had already protected Rosy Dawn Moon and Poison Scorpion together. Seeing that Xianxia was almost unable to hold on any longer, he had no choice but to use his trump card. "I'll let you have a taste of my power," Ling Xiao said in a deep voice. Then, waves of invisible psychic power emerged from between his eyebrows, and the psychic power turned into countless blade shadows that attacked the vengeful spirit. The vengeful spirit broke through Xianyao's divine light, and its scimitars slashed towards Xianyao's head. At this moment, the invisible blade light cut the vengeful spirit's body into pieces. Whoosh! The vengeful spirit was severely injured for some reason, and it let out a shrill scream. This vengeful spirit was also very powerful. After suffering a heavy injury, it could still gather together and prepare to reassemble its body. However, a blue flame completely refined it between heaven and earth. At this time, Xianyao fell from the sky powerlessly. Ling Xiao waved his hand, and a gentle force supported him, not letting him fall in pain. "Not dead, right?" Ling Xiao called out. "No, not dead, just a little exhausted," Xianyao replied with difficulty as he lay on the ground. "It's good that you're not dead. I'll protect you, so hurry up and recover," Ling Xiao replied. He was puzzled in his heart. What was that small mirror just now? It could actually exhaust his spiritual power. Could it be a high-grade spirit artifact? I'll think of a way to get it next time. Poison Scorpion and Rosy Dawn Moon had only forcefully clashed with the vengeful spirit, and both of them had suffered internal injuries. Xianyao had overexerted himself, and all three of them needed to take medicinal pills to heal. Ling Xiao set up a restriction made of heavenly fire to protect the three of them, and he once again called for the Demon Emperor. Unfortunately, there was still no response. Ling Xiao sat down cross-legged, and his divine sense swept out in all directions. He discovered that there were still many powerful vengeful spirits here, and at the same time, he sensed that many life auras were gradually diminishing. Suddenly, when his divine sense reached a certain place, a sharp pain forced him to withdraw his divine sense. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he looked at the tallest building and muttered, "There's a restriction isolating it. It should be in that direction." An hour later, Poison Scorpion and Rosy Dawn Moon had both recovered 70% of their battle strength. They all secretly exclaimed that this vengeful spirit was too terrifying. Although an Empyrean vengeful spirit couldn't display the power of a true Empyrean, it was still too much for them to handle. Xianyao's energy was replenished, and he was fine. "Let's go. The place we're looking for should be over there." Ling Xiao pointed to a building not too far away. Everyone looked at that building and saw that it was like a huge goo insect beast, emitting a dense, sinister and ferocious aura. After the four advanced for a while, they saw a few corpses with hoods draped over their heads and a few corpses wearing the Deity Dao Union's uniform. Clearly, these two sects had not been able to survive among these vengeful spirits. Many of their people had died as well. After advancing for a while, they saw the people of the Demon Shadow sect and the Deity Dao Union gathered together, each taking out a strong spirit equipment to protect their own people. Two solid figures blocked their way. Clearly, they were also venerable-level vengeful spirits. Around the two venerable-level vengeful spirits were many ordinary vengeful spirits. These vengeful spirits are too scary. Let's get out quickly. Otherwise, we'll die, Rosy Dawn Moon said worriedly. No, even if we have to turn this place upside down, I must find the heavenly goo divine art, Ling Xiao said resolutely. Chapter 4:12. The leader of the Demon Shadow sect had a square black shield in his hand. The shield flickered with a dense black fog, protecting the Demon Shadow sect's people from the invasion of resentful spirits. This black shield was a medial grade rank 6 spirit tool. Its defense was extremely shocking. Unless one was a venerate or above, they would not be able to break through the layers of black fog. As for the Deity Dao Union side, the Vice Alliance Master used the medial grade rank 6 spirit tool, the blue lotus ring, in his hand. Many spirited blue lotus flowers formed a strong barrier in the surroundings, keeping those resentful spirits at bay. However, their situation did not look good. The two resentful spirits attacked their defenses, shaking the two leaders who were activating their spirit tools to the point where they could not hold on any longer. Just at this moment, a disciple behind the Demon Shadow sect leader took out a small lantern. This lantern looked very ancient, and the lantern emitted a dense evil aura. That disciple tossed the ancient lantern at the venerate resentful spirit and formed many complicated hand seals. He shouted, "Spirit-gathering lantern, collect!" The ancient lantern released clumps of black fog that enveloped the venerate resentful spirit. In an instant, the ancient lantern absorbed most of the soul energy of the venerate resentful spirit. The venerate resentful spirit was startled and quickly tried to escape. That disciple circulated his spiritual energy again, maximizing the power of the ancient lantern. Whoosh! Before the venerate resentful spirit could escape, it was collected by the ancient lantern. What spirit tool is this? It can actually absorb the soul of a venerate. Poison Scorpion exclaimed in shock. Spirit-gathering lantern, I did not expect the demon shadow sect to find such an evil weapon, Xianxia muttered. What is a spirit-gathering lantern? Ling Xiao asked. It is a rank 7 inauspicious weapon that can absorb all the souls in the world. It gathers all the souls it absorbs together and finally extracts them to feed back to its owner, strengthening the owner's soul power, Xianxia explained. It has such a wondrous effect? Ling Xiao was startled. Then, he focused his green pupils and looked at the cloaked demon shadow sect disciple. It's actually him, Ling Xiao exclaimed. Who is it? Kai Xiaoyue asked. He's just a prisoner. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Ling Xiao revealed a worried expression. He had used his green eyes to see the appearance of the Devil Shadow Sect disciple. It was the prisoner who had escaped from his hands in the Flame Valley. At that time, Ling Xiao was only a high-level mystic cultivator, and that Spectre Shadow Sect disciple seemed to be only a high-level spiritual master or half a step to the king level. Yet now, he was already at the high rank of the king rank, and such a speed of advancement was truly shocking to the extreme. If he continued to grow at this rate, it would be a great disaster for the Purple Heaven sect in less than a few decades. I have to get rid of him. Ling Xiao made up his mind. At the same time, on the Deity Dao Union side, the Vice Alliance Master took out another sword technique spirit tool and killed the resentful spirit on his side. The foundations of these two sects are indeed extraordinary, Poison Scorpion said with a sigh. The people of the Demon Shadow sect and the Deity Dao Union did not stop, continuing forward. Just as Ling Xiao and the others were about to follow, a cry of alarm came from the other side. Young master, quickly run! This is not a place to stay for long. Ling Xiao looked to the side and saw an old man surrounded by flames. He was protecting a low-level king stage young man who was less than 30 years old as they ran away. The young man's face was slightly pale. He held a flaming sword in his hand and waved it around. Streams of powerful flames spread out. He wore a set of crimson guard armor that burned and blocked the vengeful spirits that were about to pounce on him. It was obvious that the fire sword and armor in the young man's hands were both spirit tools. It's someone from the Tang clan. Only the Tang clan's young master is so rich. Poison Scorpion licked his lips, revealing his greedy nature. The Tang clan was an aristocratic clan of the southern wasteland, and they had produced a few 6th-rank blacksmiths in the past. Now, Old Master Tang was also a 6th-rank blacksmith, and only their clan did not lack spirit tools. The young man in front of them was definitely an important descendant of the Tang clan. Otherwise, why would he bring 2 spirit tools with him to Gu City? Elder Jean, if we leave together. Take this fire Qilin sword and kill our way out with me. The young man was clearly not a heartless person. Even in such a dangerous situation, he was still able to fight shoulder to shoulder with his companions. The old man clenched his teeth and said, No, without the fire Qilin sword, you will be in even more danger. I'll protect you for a while. The old man gave it his all, and a powerful flame burned the surrounding dozens of meters red, making it difficult for the resentful spirits to get close. The young man followed behind the old man and continuously waved his fire sword, slashing and attacking blindly. Suddenly, the old man saw that Ling Xiao and the others were safe and sound, and he immediately called out to Ling Xiao. Little brother, please save my young master's life. My Tang clan will repay you generously. The old man recognized Ling Xiao. On the way here, the 4 great villains had been extremely obedient to him, and now that Poison Scorpion was still by his side, it could be seen that he was definitely not an ordinary person. What can the Tang clan give me? Ling Xiao asked indifferently. As long as you are willing to escort me and Elder Jean out, the 2 spirit tools on me will belong to you, the Tang clan young master immediately replied. No, you just need to escort my young master out. My old bones can still hold on, the Tang clan elder said. Elder Jean, there is no need to say anything more. If you let me escape alone, then wouldn't I, Tang Gangling, be a heartless and unjust person? The Tang clan young master said sonorously. You child. The Tang clan elder was moved by the Tang clan young master's words to the point that his eyes reddened. To be honest, we are not going out yet. Instead, we are going in. This is for you. Rub some on your eyes. Whether you can leave or not will depend on your luck, Ling Xiao said. Then, he tossed a bottle of hallucinogen to the Tang clan young master and flew towards the Jade Tower without looking back. His impression of the Tang clan's two young masters was not bad. The master and servant were loyal and loyal. This was what a true man should do. That was why he had helped them this once. If they were the kind of heartless and unjust people, Ling Xiao would not be bothered to care about them. In front of the tallest Jade Tower in the city was a wide plaza. There were already many people fighting with powerful resentful spirits in the plaza. The Devil Shadow Sect and the Deity Dao Union had 10 people and 8 people left respectively. Nan Gonglai had also arrived with 2 monarchs. There was also a figure that Ling Xiao was familiar with. It was the crazy Taoist. He had also appeared here with his own abilities. There were more than 10 venerable resentful spirits in the plaza, as well as dozens of illusory resentful spirits and countless ordinary resentful spirits. With so many resentful spirits, they should have been able to devour and kill all 20 people. However, there was an imposing fiery figure in the plaza, dealing with most of the resentful spirits. This figure was Danchen Dao, who was riding on a fire phoenix. He rode on the fire phoenix, occasionally shooting out a thick brown flame from his palm, burning those powerful resentful spirits. Although these resentful spirits were strong, Danchen Dao was also a venerable. Furthermore, he was using the earth-ranked serene brown flame. Only then did he manage to suppress these resentful spirits. The serene brown flame was one of the top 36 earth-ranked flames. Although it could not compare to a heavenly flame, it was still an extremely powerful young flame. It was a flame that alchemists dreamed of. Let's help Grandmaster Dan, the Deity Dao Union's Vice Alliance Master shouted. The spirit sword in his hand released a powerful elemental attack towards the resentful spirits. The others made their moves at the same time, using long-range attacks to attack the resentful spirits. The Devil Shadow Sect disciple holding the spirit convening lamp also quietly shot it out, absorbing the spiritual energy of the powerful remnant spirits. Let's make our move as well. Otherwise, we won't be able to get close to the pavilion, Ling Xiao said. At this moment, Xianxia said to Ling Xiao, the great ominous object is inside. Be careful. Don't worry, divine scoundrel. This young master is very lucky, Ling Xiao replied. He took out a powerful heavenly flame and entered the fray. With these resentful spirits blocking the path of the pavilion, they had no choice but to fight. Wherever Ling Xiao's heavenly flame went, those resentful spirits screamed and fled. Many of them disappeared the moment they came into contact with the flames. Ling Xiao's forceful entry into the fray attracted everyone's attention. They hadn't expected a low-level king stage cultivator to be even more ferocious than them, monarchs. They couldn't understand what was going on. Danchen Dao glanced at Ling Xiao. He didn't care much at first, but when he sensed that blue flame, his expression became incomparably fervent. Could this be the legendary heavenly flame? That's impossible. He's so young. How can he subdue a heavenly flame? Danchen Dao said in disbelief. Ling Xiao ignored everyone's gazes and quickly formed hand seals. 2 blue flood dragons appeared in his hands. Not long ago, when he fought with Gu Ba in Nantian City, Ling Xiao thoroughly understood that an alchemist's fire control technique could also be used to unleash powerful attacks. The 2 blue flood dragons in his hands soared out under his control. The flood dragons roared, and the flames intensified. Everywhere the flood dragons went, countless resentful spirits were incinerated and dissipated. What an exquisite fire control technique. Could this brat be an alchemist as well? Danchen Dao looked at Ling Xiao suspiciously. With Ling Xiao and the others joining the fray, the ordinary resentful spirits were quickly blasted into pieces. Only the solid resentful spirits were still incredibly ferocious. The Demon Shadow Sect and the Deity Dao Union each lost 2 people. Crazy Taoist did not last long. He tried to escape at full speed. Unfortunately, a venerable resentful spirit targeted him and chopped him in half. He died on the spot. Poison Scorpion looked at Crazy Taoist's fate and lamented in his heart. Integrity is important, but life is even more precious. As the battle became more intense, Danchen Dao displayed supreme might. He single-handedly burned more than 10 venerable resentful spirits into ashes. Ling Xiao and the others had the ability to see through the void, so they killed many resentful spirits and ordinary resentful spirits. The Demon Shadow sect also used the Spirit Gathering Lamp to absorb many resentful spirits. Only the Deity Dao Union killed the least resentful spirits. Instead, they lost 3 people. Now, only 4 people remained. Nangong Lai protected the 2 monarchs of the Nangong clan and the Ouyang clan and stayed behind. A short period of peace appeared in the plaza. The people here were the last survivors. The others were probably already dead. The price of coming to Gu City was rather high. However, they did not know if this jade tower had the divine item they were looking for. Otherwise, they would have suffered a great loss. At this moment, a dignified voice rang out in Ling Xiao's ears. "Brat, did you use heavenly fire earlier?" Chapter 413. In the legends, there were only a few types of heavenly fire. Every type of heavenly fire was a fatal temptation to any powerful martial artist, and to alchemists, it was even more desirable. Not only could heavenly fire increase a martial artist's fighting strength, but it was also the best fire for alchemy. It could refine pills of higher quality and purer quality. Danchen Dao had been famous for hundreds of years. Not only was he an Empyrean-level super expert, but he was also a 6th-grade alchemist. He was the most outstanding and famous person in the southern wasteland. He had gone through untold hardships and traveled through countless mountains to find and subdue an earth-grade fire, the dark brown flame. It was one of the top 36 types of earth fires. Heavenly fire only existed in legends, and earth-grade fire was rare. He had thought that he was one of the luckiest people. However, when he saw a young man in his 20s actually possess the legendary heavenly fire, he was so jealous that he almost went crazy. A legendary treasure like heavenly fire was only suitable for the strongest, only for an outstanding alchemist like him. How could it be ruined by a low-level king? As the question rang out, Ling Xiao became the focus of everyone's gazes. Their gazes were filled with a fiery passion. Ling Xiao raised his head to look at the fiery figure in the sky. Even though he hated this kind of unreasonable questioning, he still responded with basic courtesy. "Senior, are you asking me?" "If not you, then who else?" Danchen Dao said coldly. Ling Xiao played with the flame and replied, "This is the flame I was born with, not some heavenly fire." Ling Xiao naturally knew what Danchen Dao was planning. Even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't admit that he was using heavenly flame. Otherwise, Danchen Dao wouldn't let him off the hook. "Humph, whether it is heavenly fire or not, I will know once I try." Danchen Dao narrowed his eyes and snorted. He pointed with a finger and a brown flame shot towards Ling Xiao. The flame was as fast as lightning, and it was simply impossible to defend against. "Husband, young master. Be careful." Kai Shuyue and Poison Scorpion cried out at the same time. By the time they wanted to help, it was already too late. The flame had already reached Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao didn't have any time to react before the brown flame burned his skin. Sizzle! Before the brown flame could harm Ling Xiao's skin and muscles, a blue flame appeared and engulfed the brown flame. Ling Xiao glared at Dan Chen and shouted, "Senior, what are you doing?" "What are you doing? Didn't you say that you were born with this fire? Just now, I pointed at you with an earth flame. Even an earthly sovereign would find it difficult to extinguish it. But your little king rank flame was able to swallow it. If it isn't a heaven flame, then what is it?" Danchen Dao said coldly. His eyes were filled with greed. Ling Xiao knew that with Danchen Dao's test, he would not be able to keep the secret of his heavenly flame. He looked at Danchen Daoist and said, "So what if I use the heavenly flame? Could it be that Senior would disregard his status and attack a junior like me? I'm afraid I'll be laughed at by the world." He could only retreat in order to advance. He hoped that Danchen Dao would care about his reputation and didn't attack immediately. After all, there were still unknown dangers in Gu City. "Haha, you have some guts. You dare to talk to me like that?" Danchen Dao laughed wildly. Then his eyes shone brightly. "The heavenly flame shouldn't belong to a weakling like you. You don't deserve it." Hand it over and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. After saying that, he opened his hand and directly used his spiritual energy to imprison Ling Xiao. Let go of my husband. Kai Shuyue was worried about Ling Xiao's safety. Countless golden will-o-wisps appeared in her hand and swept toward Dan Dao's face. Poison Scorpion gritted his teeth and spat out a mouthful of poisonous mist from his mouth. The dense poisonous gas corroded Dan Dao. Light of the cocoon flame, move to the side. Otherwise, don't blame me for sending you on your way. Dan Dao waved his hand and a sea of fire engulfed the two's attacks. An incomparably powerful aura blasted the two far away. The strength of an earthly sovereign and a heavenly venerate were not on the same level. Ling Xiao frowned and shouted, "Old fellow, do you really think you can defeat me? Humph, you dare to speak to me like that? It looks like you're tired of living." Who was Dan Dao? He was the strongest and highest-ranked alchemist in the southern domain and the northwest. Even the famous people of the older generation of the Demon Shadow sect, the Deity Dao Union, or the rank 7 sects in the northwest would not dare to speak to him like that. This youth was reckless and dared to be so disrespectful to him. He originally wanted to spare Ling Xiao's life, but it looked like he could do so now. Just as Dan Dao was about to kill Ling Xiao, a huge beast appeared in front of Ling Xiao. A dragon roar soared into the sky. Roar! Everyone in the vicinity was shaken by this dragon roar to the point they felt dizzy, and their ears were ringing while their vision became blurry. Moreover, a few king-rank martial artists were even shaken to the point of spitting blood. Dan Dao, who bore the brunt of the attack, didn't fare too well either. He and the Fire Luan were knocked back dozens of meters, and the blood in their bodies churned. The Fire Luan let out a shrill cry, as if it had encountered a formidable enemy. It was a blue flood dragon that was dozens of meters long. Its scales were sparkling, and its claws were as sharp as an eagle's. Its two bell-sized eyes radiated a bloodthirsty and violent emotion. The once foolish purple flood dragon roar was no more. In its place was a flood dragon with a pure bloodline. The people nearby looked at the ferocious flood dragon and revealed fearful expressions. They thought to themselves, "Good thing I didn't have any plans earlier. This brat actually dared to challenge Dan Dao. So he had something to rely on." This was definitely a powerful flood dragon that was at least rank 6, and it was comparable to an Empyrean powerhouse. Ling Xiao sat on the dragon's back, looking majestically at Dan Dao and the Fire Luan. "Old man, I respect you as a senior and don't want to tangle with you, but you actually dared to have killing intent towards me and even hurt my woman and servant. You're courting death." Ling Xiao angrily glared at Dan Dao and shouted, "Xiaolong, get rid of them." The blue flood dragon received Ling Xiao's instructions, and with a swing of its tail, it instantly appeared in front of Dan Dao and the Fire Luan. A giant claw smashed down, and it seemed as if a part of the world was being smashed apart. Dan Dao was already a low-level Empyrean, so his strength was naturally extraordinary. He formed a mysterious seal with both hands, and a world of fire enveloped the area. The brown flames turned into countless Fire Luan that flew towards the blue flood dragon. His mount, the Fire Luan, was also a low-level rank 6 spirit beast. As it flapped its wings, countless fire feathers turned into sharp blades that shot towards the blue flood dragon. Ling Xiao did not stay idle on the dragon's back. He gathered 2 blue fire dragons in his hands and sent them towards the sea of fire. Although his fire dragons were not big, they were quite powerful and could actually devour the sea of fire slowly. The blue flood dragon was even more tyrannical. Its claw directly pierced through the sea of fire, scaring the man and beast into dodging. Swish! The blue flood dragon opened its bloody mouth, and a column of water rushed out. The water surged violently and directly broke through the sea of fire, drowning the man and beast. Dan Dao and the Fire Luan were washed far away by the water. Dan Dao's entire body was drenched, and the Fire Luan's fiery feathers were dim. The two looked extremely battered and exhausted. A high-level rank 6 flood dragon. Dan Dao finally realized that this bite dragon was not a newly ascended rank 6 flood dragon, but a high-level rank 6 flood dragon. Its strength was 2 ranks higher than theirs. Dan Dao was shocked. He never thought that a young man in his 20s would have such a spirit beast to protect him. He thought to himself, "Is this young man from the central region?" He didn't have much time to think before the blue flood dragon pounced over again. Countless giant waves rushed out of its bloody mouth. This time, It was even more ferocious than before. If he was hit by it, it wouldn't be as simple as getting wet. 5-direction cauldron appear. Danchen Dao left the fire yuan with 1 foot, and a red cauldron appeared above his head. This was Danchen Dao's cauldron, a spirit artifact level cauldron, the 5-direction cauldron. He pointed the mouth of the cauldron in the direction of the waves and slapped the bottom of the cauldron with both hands. Boom! The mouth of the cauldron erupted like a small volcano, and the brown sea of fire collided with the waves. However, the sea of fire could not withstand the waves and was pushed back again and again. At this time, the fire yuan transformed into a fiery meteor from another direction and pecked down at Ling Xiao. "You feathered beast! You dare provoke me? I'll burn you into a featherless beast!" Ling Xiao shouted, and his psychic power blasted out from between his eyebrows. An invisible sword strike stabbed toward the fire yuan's beast core. A spirit beast's beast core normally did not have any defensive capabilities, but a 6th-grade spirit beast core was extremely powerful. Ling Xiao's psychic power was not enough to kill it instantly, so he only managed to make it lose control for a moment and cause it some pain. Screech! The fire yuan was inexplicably injured, and it let out a pained cry. Its huge body swayed uncontrollably as it flapped its flaming wings. Ling Xiao knew that the fire yuan would only lose control for a short period of time, so he took advantage of the critical moment and pointed out with his finger. Whoosh! A tiny blue beam of light shot toward the fire yuan. Fire yuan! Danchen Dao and the fire yuan had a contract, so he naturally sensed the danger the fire yuan was in. He immediately turned his head and shouted. The blue flood dragon was already much stronger than him, and now that he dared to split his attention, he immediately suffered the brunt of Tenbin's divine ability. Danchen Dao was sent flying back hundreds of meters by the sound wave, and blood seeped out of his orifices. At the same time, the fire yuan tried to regain control, but the blue flames had already touched its body. Heavenly fire could burn everything under the heavens. Although the fire yuan was of the fire attribute, it could not resist the heavenly fire. As soon as the flames touched it, the fire yuan let out a deafening screech and flapped its wings. Its own flames fought against the blue flames, but it was useless. The fire yuan dove into the ground, trying to use the moisture to extinguish the flames. But was that useful? The fire yuan screeched as it was burned to ashes. "Damn it! I'll remember you. One day, I'll tear you to pieces." Danchen Dao bellowed. He no longer dared to attack Ling Xiao, and dove into the Jade Pavilion. "You won't have a second chance, Xiaolong. Chase after him." Ling Xiao naturally would not let Danchen Dao go. Today, he must kill him to prevent future troubles. Chapter 4:14. What did I see just now? Why do I feel like I'm dreaming? I also feel like I'm dreaming. Furthermore, it's the kind of serious sleepwalking. I dreamed that the Pill Grandmaster was actually severely injured. I dreamt that the Pill Grandmaster's rank 6 mount was burned to ashes. Whether it was the people of the Demon Shadow sect or the Deity Dao Union, none of them could believe what they had just seen. The godlike Danchen Dao was actually severely injured by a low-level king stage expert and his mount. Furthermore, his rank 6 mount, the Fire Yuan, was actually destroyed by that low-level king stage expert. This made them feel like the clouds were in a fog. It was too unbelievable. "Stop staring blankly. Quickly go in." The leader of the Magic Shadow sect shouted in shock. He led the remaining 8 people of his sect and rushed into the Jade Tower. The Deity Dao Union's Vice Alliance Master also exclaimed, "Let's go in as well. We can't let the evil creature descend." The Deity Dao Union only had 4 high-level Earth Monarchs left, and they all rushed into the Jade Tower. Nangong Lai clenched his fist and did not hesitate to rush in. The 2 people behind him also followed. Just as Kai Shuyue and Poison Scorpion were about to enter while enduring their injuries, Xianxia shouted, "Don't go in. Brother Ling will be fine. If you go in, he will have to divert his attention to take care of the 2 of you. It will be even more dangerous." "But I don't feel at ease leaving him in there alone," Kai Shuyue said worriedly. "What can you do if you're worried? Do you think that you can be stronger than the Flood Dragon? Can you deal with Danchen Dao?" Xianxia revealed a wise expression as he asked. Then what should we do?" Kai Shuyue asked anxiously. "Wait." Xianxia gave a simple reply before descending to the ground. Xiaoyue hesitated for a moment, but she knew that Xianyao's words made sense. Although she was a mid-level Earth monarch, she was far inferior to the blue flood dragon. It was even more impossible for her to deal with Danchen Dao. If she distracted Ling Xiao from taking care of her, then Ling Xiao would truly be in danger. Poison Scorpion looked at Xianyao squarely and didn't say anything. He stopped beside Xiaoyue. He sighed inwardly. Thank goodness I followed the right young master. I never thought that the flood dragon would be so terrifying that even Danchen's sect would have to retreat. Who else in the southern region can easily challenge the young master? Also, the young master's power is too strange. He can even kill a fire Luan. I've paid the right price this time. Poison Scorpion had originally thought that Ling Xiao possessed extraordinary abilities. Ling Xiao was able to neutralize his scorpion poison, was a 5th-grade alchemist, and had a 6th-grade flood dragon as his mount. Poison Scorpion had guessed that Ling Xiao might be a disciple of some great sect or clan in the central region, and that his strength should still need to be improved. But now, when he saw how calm Ling Xiao was in the face of danger, and how domineering he was, he felt that Ling Xiao didn't seem like the strength of a low-level king stage martial artist. Instead, he seemed like a combat king who was full of vigor and decisiveness. Only now did Poison Scorpion's loyalty to Ling Xiao increase. Just as everyone entered, a faint and strange fragrance wafted out of the Jade Tower. What is this smell? Xiaoyue asked doubtfully after taking a sniff. Poison Scorpion also smelled the fragrance, and his expression became horrified. This is the fragrance of a sacrificial goo. Could it be that what crazy Taoist said was true? What goo fragrance? Xianyao asked in confusion. Quick, let's fly up and talk. Poison Scorpion cried out in alarm as he left the ground and flew up into the air. Xiaoyue and Xianyao didn't dare to stay and instantly flew up into the air. At this moment, a dark mass of something squeezed towards the Jade Tower from all directions. What is that? Xiaoyue cried out in alarm. Poison Scorpion said indifferently, poisonous creatures. The three of them stared blankly at the thing that was quickly crawling over from the ground. It was a dense mass of poisonous insects. There were 1st-grade poisonous ants, 2nd-grade blood centipedes, 3rd-grade black-horned pythons. Countless poisonous creatures emerged from the surrounding mountain ridges. The three of them watched from the sky and felt their scalps go numb. What the hell is going on? Xiaoyue exclaimed in confusion. Poison Scorpion replied, it should be the heavenly goo divine cauldron sacrificing goo inside. This kind of goo fragrance has a great temptation to poisonous insects. Once these poisonous insects enter the divine cauldron, they will be sacrificed. But who is sacrificing goo in the house? Is there a goo clan powerhouse living inside? No, this place is full of resentful souls. No one can survive here for so long. The one sacrificing goo inside may be a powerful resentful soul or remnant soul, Xianyao said solemnly. What? Resentful souls can also be sacrificed? Xiaoyue and Poison Scorpion exclaimed. Maybe it's not as simple as a resentful soul. It may have already developed a consciousness and is controlling everything here, Xianyao said. Then what should we do? Is my husband still inside? Xiaoyue was worried about Ling Xiao's safety and had become at a loss. His fate is tough, and nothing will happen to him easily. But just in case we must do something, Xianyao replied. What can we do? Poison Scorpion asked. Set up the formation. Xianyao said. Ling Xiao rode the blue flood dragon, which had shrunk several times, and flew into the Jade Tower. When he entered the Jade Tower, he did not find any trace of Danchen Dao. He only felt his vision turn dark, and his surroundings became pitch black. A cold and frightening aura assaulted his nose. Ling Xiao shrank his body and stopped the blue flood dragon. What's going on? Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. Then, he immediately focused his green eyes to see what was going on. The green eyes emitted a divine light that could see through everything. He saw that Danchen Dao was not far away from him. He seemed to be in a panic. An earth-ranked flame was protecting him, and he held the 5-direction cauldron tightly in his hand. It seemed like he was always on guard to prevent himself from getting hurt. It seems like this old fellow can't see anything just like me, Ling Xiao thought to himself. Then, he saw people from the Magic Shadow Sect, the Deity Dao Union, and Nangong Lai enter. Looking at their panicked expressions, he knew that they were also frightened by the pitch-black world. Just at this moment, Danchen Dao, who was not far away, raised the 5-direction cauldron. A sea of fire surrounded him, reducing his visibility. However, Ling Xiao discovered that Danchen Dao's small world seemed to be suppressed. The sea of fire could only spread 2 meters. If it was outside, with Danchen Dao's ability, it would not be a problem for him to turn the area within 250 kilometers into a sea of fire. There's something strange here, Ling Xiao thought worriedly. Then he looked ahead, and his pupils constricted. He saw a very hunched old woman in front of him. This old woman was wearing the clothes of the Gu race. Her eyelids were heavy, and she seemed to be asleep. There was a small cauldron in front of her. This small cauldron was very exquisite. It looked very ancient and elegant. The walls of the cauldron were engraved with strange patterns that looked very profound. White smoke was coming out of the small cauldron, and the white smoke had a strange smell. Heaven! Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron! Ling Xiao could not help but exclaim. Although he had not seen what the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron looked like, before leaving Guqi City, the high priest had described the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron to him, so he recognized it at a glance. Although the high priest had asked him to help him find the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron, for Ling Xiao, the Heaven Gu Divine technique was what he needed the most at the moment. Since I'm here, I'll take back the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron and fulfill one of the high priest's wishes. I just don't know if this old woman will give up her treasure. Maybe it's better to let her go to Guqi City, Ling Xiao murmured with a disappointed expression. Then his heart trembled and he exclaimed, She has no aura of life, could it be? Just as Ling Xiao guessed the old woman's identity, the demon emperor's aura finally sounded in his sea of consciousness. Young master, did you hear me? Demon Emperor, where are you? Ling Xiao looked around but did not see any trace of the Demon Emperor. Young master, my physical body has been destroyed. Relax your mind and let me enter your sea of consciousness. The Demon Emperor's voice sounded urgent. Ling Xiao was not afraid that the Demon Emperor would dare to cause trouble in his sea of consciousness, so he immediately relaxed his mind. Then, an invisible soul burrowed into Ling Xiao's forehead. The Demon Emperor formed a black fog face in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. What's going on? Ling Xiao asked solemnly. The Demon Emperor let out a heavy sigh and said, When I entered the city, this old servant should have felt that the remnant soul fluctuations here were relatively large, so I rushed here. Along the way, I encountered a few resentful souls that had already condensed. I was not strong enough to devour them, so I could only absorb ordinary remnant souls. Later, I felt that this building was a bit strange, so I couldn't help but come in. I didn't expect that I would almost be devoured by that old witch. Old witch? Ling Xiao couldn't help but glance at the old woman. That's right. She's also a resentful soul, but she's very different from other resentful souls. Her resentment is especially strong, and she still has a trace of her consciousness from before she died. Her strength is very terrifying, and I estimate that she was definitely an emperor-level existence like this old servant when she was alive. Emperor level. Ling Xiao sucked in a breath of cold air. That's right. This black fog is a manifestation of her realm. She's the true ruler of this realm, and if she doesn't let us out, then none of us will be able to survive, the Demon Emperor said seriously. A realm was a divine ability that only emperor-level experts could use. The Danshan Path's minor realm was useless in someone else's realm. Then what should we do? Ling Xiao frowned. Only she disappears. Otherwise we won't be able to leave, the Demon Emperor replied. Ling Xiao still wanted to say something, but he saw the old woman raise her hands like a witch. Her 10 dry knuckles flickered. Ling Xiao saw a dense cluster of venomous creatures appear around her, giving him goosebumps. It's really as the crazy Taoist said. She's sacrificing a cauldron. Ling Xiao said in astonishment. The Demon Emperor said, This is just her habit. She might have often sacrificed this cauldron when she was alive, so she's just subconsciously doing it now. Ling Xiao stared at the venomous creatures crawling into the small cauldron as if they weren't afraid of death. A strong fragrance filled the entire world. Chapter 4:15. Not long after, a small parasite emerged from the cauldron. This parasite flickered with golden light, and its eyes were intelligent. It looked very cute and did not seem as scary as ordinary parasites. However, it was this tiny golden goo worm that actually devoured those poisonous creatures cleanly. Ling Xiao was stunned by this scene. This little thing is so strong? The poisonous creatures that had entered this world had shrunk in size. But there was no lack of powerful third and fourth rank poisonous creatures here, and yet this little parasite was able to devour them one at a time. Furthermore, it didn't seem satisfied. This parasite had a huge appetite. The other poisonous creatures that hadn't had time to eat entered the cauldron and never came out again. Ling Xiao no longer looked at the old woman and the parasite. His gaze once again landed on the people who had entered this world of darkness. He found that the people who had entered this world of darkness had all spread out like birds startled by the mere twang of a bough. Their bodies were covered in layers of attribute armor to protect themselves. Danchen Dao didn't create his own small world either. Instead, he took a 5th rank healing pill and took the opportunity to recover from his injuries. No matter what, I'll kill you first. An ominous glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. Just as he was about to walk towards Danchen Dao, where he couldn't see him, the black veil suddenly changed. A huge black palm grabbed towards Danchen Dao. When the black mist came into contact with Danchen Dao's earth rank flame, it shrank a bit. Earth rank flames couldn't compare to heavenly flames, but they were still rare flames. Naturally, their power was extraordinary. The dozing old woman opened her eyes and revealed a strange expression. Then she waved her hand, and Danchen Dao's body flew uncontrollably towards the old woman. Danchen Dao shouted with all his might, and his expression became incomparably flustered. The 5-direction cauldron in his hand kept shooting out flames, but he didn't know where his target was. He couldn't even use a tenth of the flame's power. Just as Danchen Dao was about to reach the old woman, she let out a mournful cry. She pointed out with her finger, and her fingernails grew longer. They pierced through Danchen Dao's defenses and pierced through his forehead. You're right. Danchen Dao's body perished, and his soul seeped out from his corpse. The old woman opened her mouth and sucked. Danchen Dao's soul flew into her mouth and entered her stomach. A supreme being had died without a sound, and even his soul didn't have the chance to reincarnate. Ling Xiao felt nothing but shock and horror. The demon emperor's voice rang out in Lu Yin's mind. If she devours enough souls one day, she might be able to revive using another method. However, once she truly revives, this world will become a purgatory. Her condition should be similar to yours, right? Why didn't she absorb you just now? Ling Xiao asked. The demon emperor replied, She's far inferior to me. She's a vengeful spirit, and she only has a few traces of consciousness from her previous life. She doesn't know what thinking is, but I'm a complete soul. Although I was heavily injured back then, it didn't affect my consciousness and thinking ability. I have a secret technique to hide my soul fluctuations, which allowed me to escape. After listening to the demon emperor's explanation, Ling Xiao suddenly understood. In the next moment, he saw the old woman make her move again. This time, her target was the leader of the Magic Shadow Sect. In this blind and ignorant world, the leader of the Magic Shadow Sect was the same as Danchen Dao. He didn't even have a chance to resist before he died. Next, it was the Deity Dao Union's Vice Alliance Master's turn. One expert after another died, causing Ling Xiao to break out in a cold sweat. If this went on, he probably wouldn't have a chance to survive. At this moment, it was Nangong Lai's turn, who had applied a hallucination dispelling potion. He could clearly see where the old woman was. He held the heavenly fire centipede in his hand and sent a powerful flame towards the old woman. The flame soared into the sky, and the cries of the flaming bird filled the air. However, in this great world, it seemed to be a futile effort. The old woman waved her hand, and the intense flames actually covered the drum, causing it to dim. She waved her hand again, and Nangong Lai's body flew forward involuntarily. Just as Ling Xiao was about to make a move, an ancient lamp smashed towards the old woman. The inextinguishable wick flickered, and a strong suction force caused the old woman to stop. A rank 7 spirit convening lamp. It was actually the Magic Shadow Sect's disciple who made a move. Although he couldn't see this world, the spirit convening lamp could lead him to the location of the strong soul. Hence, he had to make a move and absorb the resentful soul. Otherwise he would die. The old woman stared at the spirit convening lamp, and her expression turned grave. Her figure slowly turned illusory. Ling Xiao thought to himself, this spirit convening lamp is a terrifying spirit equipment. However, just as Ling Xiao thought that the old woman would be absorbed by the spirit convening lamp, the old woman kicked the small cauldron with one foot. The small cauldron flew out like a rock, crashing ruthlessly into the spirit convening lamp. Ding dang! The spirit convening lamp was sent flying, and the old woman's body became solid again. The old woman revealed a dense killing intent towards the magic shadow sect's disciple. The black curtain moved without any wind, and a strong black palm grabbed the magic shadow sect's disciple. Whoosh! The old woman opened her mouth and actually sucked the magic shadow sect's disciple's soul out. After swallowing the soul, the old woman casually threw the body away. The demon emperor's voice rang in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. Young master, quickly use the heaven fire to deal with her, or else we will all die. Ling Xiao suddenly realized that Danchen Dao's earth fire might not be able to deal with the old woman, but his heaven fire should be able to. As he thought of this, Ling Xiao's palms shot out countless fire shadows towards the old woman. Although the fire shadows were small, the fire was extremely fierce, and the surrounding black curtain was burned until it dissipated. The old woman noticed Ling Xiao's existence, and her old eyes shot out a deep and ominous glint. She waved her hands, and countless black curtains rushed towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had nowhere to hide, and his bones were all broken. The blue flood dragon also let out long roars, and it was in great pain. If not for its strong body, it would have been smashed to death. Ling Xiao only felt that his body was falling apart, and blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. His internal organs were all displaced. He roared, and the ancient sovereign mystic technique quickly circulated, and the golden divine radiance emitted an intense radiance. Nangong Lai already saw that Ling Xiao was heavily injured, and he took the opportunity to attack. The heaven fire puppet turned into a huge shadow that smashed towards the old woman. The old woman seemed to have lost her patience, and she directly bounced up from the ground. She let out a mournful cry, and her withered old palm slapped the heaven fire puppet away. Nangong Lai's heaven fire puppet was shattered, and he hurriedly retreated. The old woman revealed a ferocious glint, and the black curtains rose again. Nangong Lai was caught, and it would be hard for him to escape misfortune. At this moment, a formless mental force turned into countless blade lights and sword shadows that flew towards the old woman. The old woman's body was instantly sliced apart. Although the old woman's condensed form was more realistic than any resentful spirit, she was still a resentful spirit, and was also countered by mental attacks. The black curtains gradually disappeared, and the survivors could finally see where they were. What happened just now? It was like we entered a dark world. Quick! Look! Isn't that the alchemy grandmaster? How did he die? It's not just him, there's also the demon shadow sect's leader and the deity Dao Union's vice alliance leader. They're all dead. The survivors' faces turned incredibly pale. They could not understand how these peak experts had died for no reason. Just as they were in shock, Ling Xiao shouted at the demon emperor, "Quickly go and take over that body. He just died, so he should still be alive." Ling Xiao was referring to the corpse of the demon shadow sect's disciple. This person, who was once a prisoner of the Purple Sky sect, had actually become a high-level king in a short 2 years. This was inconceivable. However, he did not care about this. Instead, he cared about the demon emperor's survival and the soul convening lamp. The demon emperor was a dark attributed martial artist. He needed a martial artist that matched his own attribute to be able to display his strength. At the same time, he also needed to prepare to recover to his peak state in the future. In addition, the soul convening lamp had only been sent flying and had not been destroyed. He wanted the demon emperor to control the soul convening lamp and subdue the old woman with him. At this moment, the old woman's resentful spirit that Ling Xiao had scattered had reformed once again. However, the body was not as solid as before. Ling Xiao used his mental attack again. Unfortunately, the old woman seemed to be able to sense Ling Xiao's formless attack. She dodged at a ghostly speed and pounced towards Ling Xiao at the same time. Fortunately, Ling Xiao had already condensed a heavenly flame to protect himself. When the old woman got close, she was forced to stop by the flames. The old woman was not willing to give up and ruthlessly smashed down with her black palm. The black palm sent Ling Xiao flying far away. He crashed through the Jade Building and landed outside the plaza. The old woman did not immediately chase after him. Instead, She shifted her target to the survivors. In an instant, she killed a few people and devoured their souls. Her body became perfect again. Nangong had already retreated before the black tomb dissipated. He was not harmed. The demon emperor had also taken over the body of the devil shadow sect disciple. He controlled the soul convening lamp and instantly protected himself. The demon emperor's aura surged and directly broke through to the high-level earth emperor before stopping. Haha, good. This young body is suitable for me. The demon emperor revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. However, the old woman had already controlled the small cauldron to smash the soul-convening lamp beside the demon emperor. She hated the soul-convening lamp. The demon emperor's strength increased greatly. He sucked the soul-convening lamp into his palm. Before the old woman could use her macro world, he broke through the jade building and retreated. The old woman was extremely bloodthirsty. She released a strong aura that directly shattered the jade building. Following that, she slowly rose from the rubble. Ling Xiao was already seriously injured. It was already fortunate that he was not dead. Although he had taken pills, his recovery speed was not that fast. Nangong Lai and the demon emperor were not a match for the old woman. Nangong Lai thought to himself, "Are we going to die here?" The old woman held the small cauldron in her hand and coldly swept her gaze across the crowd. A large black screen world appeared behind her. Once they entered it, they would definitely die like the people just now. At this moment, a voice rang out, "Flickering light shadow formation, activate." Chapter 4:16. Just now, Ling Xiao had been seriously injured by the old woman's palm strike, and many of his muscles had been seriously damaged. If it weren't for the protection of the blue demon flame, which gave the old woman some consideration, he would have been a corpse by now. Seeing the old woman's world of darkness once again push forward, Ling Xiao felt powerless. He tried his best to recover his body, but he still didn't have enough energy, and he couldn't condense his spiritual force to attack. It's over. These resentful spirits are too terrifying. No wonder no one has been able to walk out of here alive in the past 10,000 years. I'm afraid that only an emperor-level super expert can leave here unscathed. Ling Xiao's back was already drenched, and he knew that he no longer had any cards up his sleeve to reverse the situation. The blue flood dragon was his biggest reliance, but even it had been seriously injured, and the difference in strength was too great. Just as Ling Xiao was in despair, Xianxia's voice rang out, "Flickering light sweeping shadow formation, activate." Suddenly, rows of pure and flawless light curtains descended from the sky, and the surroundings instantly became pure white. The white light rumbled like lightning. The sound of this white light was very loud, especially like spring thunder. However, this white light didn't feel the slightest pain when it hit someone's body. Instead, it gave them an indescribable feeling of comfort. The surrounding resentful spirits and the old woman in the center of the white light let out the most mournful screams. Woo-woo! The old woman was submerged by the white light, and before she was submerged, the black curtain she had evolved had already disappeared, leaving only a panicked expression on her face. It was unknown how long the white light had been bombarding her, but finally, it slowly faded and returned to normal. There was no damage to the ground, and the few people who had survived were also not injured in the slightest. However, the surrounding resentful spirits had already disappeared, and the old woman seemed to have disappeared with the white light. As the white light disappeared, Kai Shiyue instantly arrived at Ling Xiao's side, supporting him, and asked with a heartache, "Husband, how are you?" Her eyes were filled with tears, and she only felt that the injuries on Ling Xiao's body were on her body, making her very worried. Ling Xiao grinned. Don't touch me. I'll be fine soon." Regardless of whether Ling Xiao was sitting or lying down, he could still circulate the profound technique in his body. In addition, he had consumed a high-level healing pellet before healing his injuries, so it only took a bit of time for his body to recover again. This was also the miraculous part of the ancient Emperor Divine Arts. Now, only Ling Xiao, Kai Shiyue, Xianyao, Poison Scorpion, Demon Emperor, and Nangong Lai were left alive. Nangong Lai arrived in front of Ling Xiao, cupped his hands and said, "Master Ling, please rest here first, I will look around." Nangong Lai thought about the mission from 15 years ago. He had to find the Heaven Gu Divine Art, and although he also wanted the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron in front of him, he did not want to snatch it away. After all, the person who killed the old woman was not him, but the other young man beside Ling Xiao. He admired Ling Xiao's abilities and was also grateful to Ling Xiao for giving him the hallucination-breaking potion, which allowed him to survive in the Gu city until now. He was not the kind of person who would forget kindness and forsake righteousness at the sight of profit. Just as Nangong Lai was about to rush towards the ruins of the building, soul energy actually condensed in the world again. Be careful, she hasn't completely disappeared. Xianxia shouted at Nangong Lai. This time, everyone panicked, and Nangong Lai retreated once again. In front of the ruins, the old woman's appearance once again appeared. However, her current situation was no longer as solid as before. She only appeared to be in the state of a phantom. It seemed that the floating light sweeping shadow formation had already consumed a large amount of her soul power. Just as everyone was about to attack the old woman again, the small cauldron floated in midair. Suddenly, the small cauldron released thousands of rays of golden light, and a small goo worm jumped out of it. The eyes of the goo worm flickered, and its body actually swelled up in an instant. 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters. In just a moment, it actually turned into a large worm that was more than 10 meters tall. Its golden body was abnormally noble, like the emperor of the insects, shocking the few people in front of it. The gold goo worm protected the old woman in front of it, staring at the few people, as if it would immediately swallow them into its stomach and become its food if anything abnormal happened. Nangong Lai and Ling Xiao looked at the gold goo worm and felt their scalps go numb. Just now in the world of darkness, they had seen with their own eyes that the gold goo worm had swallowed a large number of poisonous creatures one by one. Now that it had revealed its true body, the powerful pressure made them unable to move. This pressure was actually not weaker than the blue flood dragon, and it seemed to be even more terrifying. Apart from Ling Xiao, the others looked at the gold goo worm and let out a horrifying cry. It's the gold silkworm goo. The gold silkworm goo was the most powerful and primitive of all the goo worms, and it was the emperor of all the goo worms. Legend has it that in ancient times, when humans were first born, the beasts dominated the continent, and the divine beasts were the supreme rulers. All the divine beasts ruled over a region, and then a rare mutated beast appeared, wanting to compete with the divine beasts and divide the land to be the emperor. At that time, all kinds of powerful mutated beasts displayed their terrifying tenbin, challenging the dignity of the divine beasts. Among them, there was a powerful mutated beast called the gold silkworm goo, which displayed supreme power and battle power, and fought evenly with the divine beasts. Finally, it obtained a remote area as a place for its goo worm to live. According to legend, the gold silkworm goo was a mutation of the bloodline of the sky silkworm king and the goo worm king. It had the magical power of the two kinds of spiritual beasts at the same time, and it was a rare ancient mutated beast. With the passing of time, the bloodline of this ancient mutated beast became thinner and thinner. Until the ancient times, the gold silkworm goo had already become a legend, and it had never appeared again. Of course, they had never seen this kind of ancient mutated beast before, but they had a slight understanding of it from some ancient books. After all, Kai Xiaoyu, Poison Scorpion and Nangong Lai were all people who grew up in the southern wasteland, and the Demon Emperor and Xianxia had special identities, so it was not surprising that they could recognize this gold silkworm goo. The gold silkworm goo was different from other spiritual beasts. Normally, spiritual beasts would be able to speak human language when they reached the 7th rank, and its aura was obviously at the 7th rank, but it could not swallow human language. Therefore, it could be confirmed that the gold silkworm goo in front of them was still in its growth stage, and it could not be considered a mature gold silkworm goo. A mature gold silkworm goo would have silkworm wings on its back, be able to speak human language, and take human form. The lifespan of the gold silkworm goo was very long. Each stage of growth required 5,000 years of evolution, which was 5,000 years of infancy, 5,000 years of maturity, and 10,000 years of maturity before becoming a mature gold silkworm goo emperor. However, no matter what stage it was, the gold silkworm goo had the power to command the heavenly silkworms and goo worms in the world. It was the supreme emperor of these two spiritual beasts. Who are you? An incomparably weak voice sounded from the side of the gold silkworm goo. Everyone was stunned, and their pupils constricted. This was clearly the voice of the old woman. They were all stunned. When had they heard that a resentful spirit could also make a sound? The demon emperor faintly said, "Your soul is still here?" The demon emperor was also a remnant soul that had been reborn. He might have already guessed that this old woman should be different from the resentful spirit from before, and should be in a similar state as his soul before. The old woman indifferently said, "I'm long gone. I'm just a wisp of will before I die, and I'll disappear very soon. Which one of you can tell me how the descendants of my Gu race are doing now? Have they been exterminated by those beasts?" The old woman's voice was still filled with a strong sense of hatred. Nangong Lai came back to his senses and replying to old senior, "The Gu race was exterminated 10,000 years ago. God damn it, the children of my Gu race actually. The old woman lamented. Xianxia spoke up from the side. "Old senior, there's no need to be sad. Your clansmen haven't been completely exterminated, and there are still quite a number of them living in this world. It's just that they can only live in a remote corner and don't dare to come out rashly for fear of causing a disaster." "Really?" the old woman exclaimed. "Absolutely," Xianxia replied, then pointed at Ling Xiao and asked, "Have you seen him?" The old woman was puzzled and asked, "What about him?" "He's your clan's priest, Grandpa Fu Ma. He's specially ordered by the high priest to find the Gu race's 2 sacred treasures," Xianxia said solemnly. The old woman's gaze landed on Ling Xiao's upper body, and her expression was filled with doubt. "Senior, if you don't believe me, you can search this junior's memories. He is indeed your clan's current Grandpa Fu Ma," Xianxia continued. "All right, I'll see if he's my clan's Grandpa Fu Ma," the old woman replied, then turned into a black mist and entered Xianxiao's consciousness. "Be careful, don't let her take over your body," the demon emperor couldn't help but cry out. However, Xianxiao didn't move and allowed the black mist to enter his consciousness. Xianxiao was like an old monk in meditation, while the others were all secretly guessing and all revealed vigilant expressions. After a while, the black mist flew out again and formed into the old woman's appearance. She laughed loudly. Good, my clan's child is still alive. He's still alive. The heavens are truly blessing my clan." Xianxiao sat on the ground as if he had been freed from the void, and asked with difficulty, "Senior, do you believe me now?" "Yes, I believe you," the old woman replied, and her image became much fainter. She then turned to Ling Xiao and said, "Child, can you still get up? I have something to say to you." Ling Xiao heard the old woman's call and knew that the old woman in front of him was no longer a terrifying, resentful spirit, so he struggled to get up. His face was extremely pale as he said, "Say, Senior, please speak." The old woman's image was already becoming fainter and fainter, and she vaguely glanced at the people beside her. The few of them tactfully retreated. The old woman floated in front of Ling Xiao and closed her eyes slightly. After a while, she opened her eyes, and an incomparably powerful pressure sent Ling Xiao flying. She then said sternly, "You! How dare you lie to me? If you were a vassal of my Gu clan, how could you not have my clan's sacred object? I'll devour you." The old woman had just entered Xianxiao's memory, and knew that the female priest in Guzhai city had been summoned as a vassal. She also knew from Xianxiao's image that Ling Xiao had been summoned as a vassal. However, when she approached Ling Xiao, she did not sense the aura of her Gu clan in Ling Xiao's body. In other words, there was no love Gu in Ling Xiao's body, so she definitely did not successfully become a vassal to Ling Xiao. At this moment, she was furious and wanted to devour Ling Xiao's soul. Ling Xiao was in danger. Chapter 417. Ling Xiao had just recovered a little from his injuries, but now he was back to his original state. He felt indescribably depressed. Back then, he hadn't been willing to be controlled by others. He had stayed in Gu City for 3 months before advancing to a 4th-grade alchemist. He had refined the vital organ restoring pill and reconstructed his organs. At the same time, he had gotten rid of the love Gu in his body. Thus, he didn't have the aura of a Gu clan member, which was why the old woman had misunderstood him. Seeing the old woman turn into a ball of mist and enter his mind, Ling Xiao instantly summoned the blue demon flame to protect his body. The old woman knew how powerful the heavenly flame was, so she immediately stopped and retreated. "Brat, even if you have the heavenly flame protecting you, you won't be able to escape death," the old woman cursed. Then she ordered the golden silkworm Gu to kill Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao took out something and showed it to the old woman. He said with difficulty, "Senior, please take a look." A token appeared in Ling Xiao's hand. It was a very old token, made of a rare material that looked like jade or iron. There was a statue of a goo insect engraved on the front of the token, and under the image of the insect, there were two indecipherable characters of the alien race. The old woman instantly stopped and stared blankly at the token. Her expression became somewhat blank, as if she was trying hard to recall something. After a moment, the old woman seemed to recall something, and her expression became sincere. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and muttered something to the token that Ling Xiao couldn't understand. Ling Xiao didn't know what the old woman was doing. He took out 2 more pills and stuffed them into his mouth, once again recovering at full speed. He was about to die from the repeated injuries. Fortunately, his life was like that of an undying cockroach. He still had a breath left, so he wouldn't die for the time being. However, he had to quickly recover. Otherwise, he really didn't know if the old woman would attack him again. The old woman stopped murmuring and looked at Ling Xiao with a different expression than before. "Who gave you this medallion?" Ling Xiao said with difficulty. It's the high priest grandpa who gave it to me." Before Ling Xiao left Gu City, the high priest had given him a spatial ring. Other than some spirit herbs, there was also a jade tube. When Ling Xiao found the Heaven Gu divine art, he could crush the jade tube and the high priest would naturally rush over. Other than the spirit herbs and the jade tube, there was also this token. At that time, the high priest did not explain the function of this token. He only told him that if he wanted to return to Guzhai City in the future, he only needed to show the token. Ling Xiao felt that this token should be his pass to Guzhai City or proof of his identity in the Gu race. Therefore, when he was at his wit's end, he took out the token, hoping that it would be able to convince the old woman of his identity. If the token was useless, then only death awaited him. Fortunately, the token seemed to have some effect. It made the old woman stop. It seemed that she really remembered something. Seeing that the old woman's figure was getting weaker and weaker, she knew that her will was about to disappear from this world. She looked at Ling Xiao and said softly, "Child, I'm sorry. I've wronged you. Since you're my clan's vassal, remember what I've said." Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief and immediately nodded at the old woman. The old woman revealed a kind smile. With a light wave of her hand, the small cauldron flew in front of Ling Xiao. The golden silkworm Gu also instantly shrank and returned to the small cauldron. "This is the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron, a sacred object of my clan. Since you're my clan's vassal, then bring it back to your clan and take good care of it. It can make my clan prosper again. This divine cauldron must not be lost. Even if you die, you must bring it back," the old woman said solemnly. Ling Xiao subconsciously nodded and thought to himself, "Is this small cauldron really the 8th-ranked Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron?" There were 9 great heaven cauldrons in the world. Every divine cauldron had incredible power, and every divine cauldron was a rare divine item. In this world, countless experts and alchemists yearned to obtain a divine cauldron. However, divine cauldrons could only be found by chance. It didn't matter how strong one was, one could obtain a divine cauldron. One also needed great opportunities to see a divine cauldron. Ling Xiao had accidentally obtained the obsidian divine cauldron in his clan. Now that the Heaven Gu divine cauldron was in front of him, it was equivalent to having 2 divine cauldrons in his hands. If others were to find out about this, it was unknown how many super experts would be envious. Even a saint-level expert would be envious. Others had traveled thousands of mountains and rivers in their lives to see a rare divine object, but this young man had too. How could they not be envious and jealous? The old woman's shadow was about to disappear. She quickened her pace and said, "When you go back, tell the current high priest not to think about revenge. The enemy is very powerful. If there is no descendant of the saint in our tribe, we must not participate in any faction battles and make enemies with others. Only if our tribe continues to have descendants, one day, there will be a descendant with the heavenly venomous body. He will restore our tribe's prestige and take revenge for our venomous body." At that moment, Ling Xiao's body felt a little better. When he heard about the heavenly venomous body, he struggled to his feet and said, "Senior, the priestess is my wife. She has the heavenly venomous body. Do you know where the heavenly venomous art is? She'll be 20 in a year. If we can't find it by then, she'll die." Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood as he finished speaking in one breath. The old woman's energy was exhausted. When she heard Ling Xiao say the Heaven Gu divine body, her pupils dilated a little. She pointed in the direction of the small cauldron and said, "The Heaven Gu divine art is. Before she could finish speaking, her face revealed an extremely unwilling expression and she disappeared between heaven and earth. "Senior!" Ling Xiao exclaimed. He knew that the old woman definitely knew the whereabouts of the Heaven Gu divine art, but her time was up. She had no choice but to disappear after saying what she wanted to say. Ling Xiao patted his head a few times in annoyance. He blamed himself for not asking her earlier. Now, he had completely lost the clue to the Heaven Gu divine art. What should he do? There was no medicine for regret in this world. Ling Xiao could only force himself to recover first, and then search around the city to see if he could find the Heaven Gu divine art. If he couldn't find it, he could only return to Guzhai City to refine the spirit-prolonging pill to continue the life of the priestess and spend the rest of his time with her. At the thought of the priestess dying soon, Ling Xiao's heart tightened. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. Ling Xiao didn't know how much time had passed, but when he woke up, he found himself lying in an unfamiliar house. He struggled to sit up, but his body was in unbearable pain, making him cry out softly, "Ah! Husband, you're awake?" Kai Shuyue immediately appeared beside Ling Xiao, supported him, and asked with concern. Where is this?" Ling Xiao asked with a pale face. "Still in Gu City," Kai Shuyue replied. "Then why didn't I find any resentful souls?" Ling Xiao asked in confusion. After that powerful granny disappeared, those resentful souls seemed to have lost their backbone and also disappeared from the world, Kai Shuyue replied. "So that's how it is," Ling Xiao responded, and then sat up with Kai Shuyue's help. After taking a few more pills and resting for half a day, Ling Xiao finally recovered 60 to 70% and could get out of bed and walk around. By the way, where's the small cauldron? Ling Xiao suddenly remembered the Heaven Gu divine cauldron and immediately asked. "I have it," Kai Shuyue responded, and then took out the small cauldron from the space ring. Ling Xiao took the small cauldron, his expression full of bitterness. If it was someone else who obtained this Heaven Gu divine cauldron, they might be ecstatic, but Ling Xiao would rather exchange this Heaven Gu divine art for the Heaven Gu divine art, which would really make him very happy. "Forget it, maybe this is Yun'er's fate," Ling Xiao sighed heavily, an indescribable sadness on his face. "Husband, what's on your mind? Tell me and share it with you, Kai Shuyue asked thoughtfully. Ling Xiao stroked Kai Shuyue's beautiful hair and said indifferently, "I'm just a little bored, come out with me for a walk." If Ling Xiao didn't want to say it, Kai Shuyue naturally wouldn't force him. The two walked out of the house at the same time, and a bright sunlight sprinkled on them. Ling Xiao felt a lot more comfortable. "Young master," the demon emperor and poison scorpion bowed and asked. The demon emperor had occupied a new body, and he called Ling Xiao young master, which surprised poison scorpion. He thought to himself, when did young master have a new person by his side? For a moment, poison scorpion felt a strong sense of crisis. At first, he felt that it was a bit sullen to stay by Ling Xiao's side. However, when he saw that there was such a young high-level Earth Sovereign Realm expert by Ling Xiao's side, the arrogance in his heart completely disappeared. The other party was also an Earth Emperor of the same level as him, and he was so young so his potential was definitely much greater than his. He was afraid that Ling Xiao would pay more attention to the Demon Emperor and ignore his existence. Ling Xiao nodded slightly and replied, "Thank you for your hard work, did you find anything?" Both of them shook their heads, obviously not finding anything. However, the two of them had found a lot of spatial rings from the people who had died in Gu City this time. These spatial rings were all the treasures of those people, and there was no lack of Earth Emperor rank treasures among them. There should be a lot of good things inside. Ling Xiao didn't stand on ceremony and took all the spatial rings. At this time, Xianxia flew back from not far away. "I thought you wouldn't wake up?" Xianxia joked. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and said, "If I don't wake up, who will refine the advancement pill for you?" Xianxia seemed to have been hit in the ribs, and he laughed dryly and said, "You should refine a large number of advancement pills for me first. It won't be too late if you don't wake up." Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered with this fraud and changed the topic. "What if I can't find the Heaven Gu divine art? Can you calculate its location?" Xianxia replied, "Let me do a divination first." Then, he took out something that looked like a turtle shell and shook it in his hand for a while before throwing out the copper coins inside the turtle shell. "How is it?" Ling Xiao asked very seriously. Chapter 4:18. Ling Xiao had followed Xianxia all the way south, and he knew that this quack had some skills, which was why he had asked so seriously. He was worried about the priestess' safety, and he would not let go of even the slightest chance of finding the Heaven Gu divine technique. Xianxia looked at the hexagram on the ground and muttered, "This hexagram hides the moon." "What does that mean?" Ling Xiao asked. According to the hexagram, the moon should be hanging in the sky, bright and visible, but it has been eaten away by the heavenly hound, Xianxia said with a frown. He paused for a moment, then said, "The Heaven Gu divine technique should have appeared, but I don't know where it is hidden. It could be near the horizon, or it could be far away. Only the fated will know." Hearing this, Ling Xiao's face darkened. "What you said is as good as not saying anything." Xianxiao's face heated up. That's not it. This divination is the best of the best. Although it has been hidden by the heavenly dog, there will be a day when the moon will be revealed, and the fated one will naturally be you, Brother Ling. You don't have to worry too much about this matter, and you don't have to think about it anymore. Just let nature take its course. Ling Xiao was skeptical, but he could only stop thinking about it. The world was so big, and the Heaven Gu divine technique had disappeared for thousands of years. It had probably been destroyed, or it might have fallen into the hands of the big sects that had destroyed the Gu tribe. No matter what, Ling Xiao had no confidence in finding the whereabouts of the Heaven Gu divine technique in the remaining year of this priestess's life. Just as Ling Xiao was feeling depressed again, Nangong Lai appeared. "Senior Nangong is still here?" Ling Xiao asked in surprise. Although Nangong Lai and he were of the same generation, Ling Xiao still called Nangong Lai Senior out of respect. "Master Ling, are you all right?" Nangong Lai asked with concern. "Thanks to luck I'm fine," Ling Xiao replied. He then asked, "The vengeful spirits in Gu City have already dispersed, and there's nothing worth exploring here anymore. Why did Senior Nangong stay?" Nangong Lai looked around and sighed heavily. "It's just to complete a mission from 15 years ago. Now, it seems like I can only forget about it." Ling Xiao was slightly surprised. He did not understand why Nangong Lai's mission was related to Gu City. Nangong Lai was too lazy to explain. He knew that Ling Xiao was a subordinate of Gu City. Perhaps he was here for the Heaven Gu divine technique. Explaining would only cause unnecessary misunderstandings. "I want to leave Gu City today. Will Master Ling come with me?" Nangong Lai changed the topic and asked. Nangong Lai knew about Ling Xiao's miraculous abilities. Now that Ling Xiao had two high-level Earth Emperors following him, besides the old monsters of the Magic Shadow Sect and the Alliance Master of the Deity Dao Union, no one could threaten him in the southern wasteland. If he included the Blue Flood Dragon, even those old monsters would be afraid of him. Therefore, he definitely had to be on good terms with Ling Xiao. It would be best if their relationship could reach the level of friendship despite the difference in age. After all, Ling Xiao was already a rank 5 alchemist at such a young age. If this continued, he would probably be able to advance another step in a few years. At that time, even if the Danshan Dao came back to life, he would be ashamed. Ling Xiao thought for a moment, but in the end, he still shook his head and said, "Senior Nangong, I want to stay here for a while." "Since that's the case, then I won't force you." "All right, don't call me senior, it sounds distant. You're already a rank 5 alchemist at such a young age, so you should talk to me as an equal. In the future, just call me Nangong Lai." Nangong Lai softened his tone. Ling Xiao said modestly, "How can I do that?" "Why not? How about this? I'll call you Brother Ling, and you can call me Big Brother Lai. I'm a few years older than you, so let's be a bit more equal," Nangong Lai said passionately. "All right, since Big Brother Lai is so kind, then I'll take up the responsibility." Ling Xiao also stayed outside. Through his contact with Nangong Lai, he felt that he could make friends with this person. After all, one more friend meant one more path. Moreover, with Nangong Lai's status as the #1 mercenary emperor, he was willing to lower his status to make friends with him. If others heard that the dignified #1 mercenary emperor of the southern wasteland, a super expert who had the highest chance of stepping into the venerable level within 100 years, was to make friends with a young man, And that young man still felt that it was too much, they would probably vomit blood in anger. A future Empyrean-level figure would be able to speak as an equal to a tiny low-level king-level figure like him. How great of an honor would that be? Yet he was actually unwilling. It really made them want to find 100 flower-like women to ravage him 100 times, and then swallow their saliva and drown him to vent their anger. Nangong Lai left just like that. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, wandered around Gu City. He was praying that his luck was good, and he would accidentally find the Heaven Gu divine art. How great would that be? Unfortunately, this city of resentment had been occupied by resentful spirits for a long time, and there was nothing to be found except for the dilapidated houses. Ling Xiao had no choice but to give up on the idea of finding the Heaven Gu divine art. At night, Ling Xiao summoned the blue dragon. It had been injured by the old woman's 2 palm strikes, but now that it was full of energy, he could not help but praise its abnormal recovery ability. Ling Xiao then summoned the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King had been staying in the obsidian cauldron all the way south, and it was time to come out and relax. In the next 2 days, Ling Xiao did his best to restore his body to its peak state. Then he planned to find Xianxia, who knew that Xianxia had already left Gu City at some point in time. Xianxia's departure caused Ling Xiao to feel depressed for a while. He muttered in his heart, "This swindler probably knew that I was going to interrogate him, so he actually slipped away first. I hope I don't meet him next time, or else I'll turn him into a popsicle." Xianxia had followed him all the way and had predicted some opportunities in advance, which made Ling Xiao feel that Xianxia was definitely not a simple person. A few days ago, Xianxia had even set up the floating light sweeping shadow formation, which proved that Ling Xiao's thoughts were correct. He had wanted to have a good talk with Xianxia, but unexpectedly, the other party had slipped away first. This made Ling Xiao feel that Xianxia was definitely not a simple person. A young man who was far away from Gu City turned around and looked in the direction of Gu City. He chuckled and said, "Who is this Tianji? You want to interrogate me? There's no way. When you come to the central region, I'll tell you the truth." After Xianxia left, Ling Xiao only had Kai Shiyue, the demon emperor, and poison scorpion by his side. Kai Shiyue was often by Ling Xiao's side, while the demon emperor and poison scorpion tactfully found their own places to cultivate. Ling Xiao held Kai Shiyue's hand and slowly walked towards the setting sun. Their figures were stretched out, and their figures leaned against each other, looking extremely intimate. "I want to make this place glorious again," Ling Xiao said indifferently as he faced the setting sun. Although he was not a member of the Gu clan, he had done the deed of husband and wife with the priestess. He was a true follower of the Gu clan, so he felt that he had to do something for the Gu clan. If he chose to leave now, perhaps the Gu clan would fall into the hands of others, and everything about the Gu clan here would be obliterated. Perhaps after 1,000 years, others would no longer know that this was the origin of the Gu clan. "No matter what husband wants to do, Yue will support you," Kai Shiyue replied with infinite tenderness. "I want you to be the temporary master of this place. What do you think?" Ling Xiao asked as he hugged Kai Shiyue's shoulder. Kai Shiyue stared at Ling Xiao and said reluctantly, "I want to be with husband more." Ling Xiao hugged this woman who had once been infamous for her fierceness in his arms and said lightly, "If 2 people love each other for a long time, how can they stay together day and night?" Husband's goal is not to stay in the southern wasteland or the northwest. One day, I will go to the central region to see what the real holy land of martial arts is like. I let you stay here because I feel that I need to do something for the Gu clan, and I can't stay here all the time, so I can only wrong you. But don't worry, it won't be long before I take you away from here. I can't bear to let a beautiful woman like you stay alone in an empty room. You, or will listen to you. Kai Shiyue looked at Ling Xiao with infatuation and hugged Ling Xiao tightly, not wanting to let go. Feeling Kai Shiyue's plump body, Ling Xiao felt restless. Young people were always impulsive, and energetic young people were even more energetic. After a night of nonsense, Ling Xiao called Poison Scorpion over. "Young master, what orders do you have?" Poison Scorpion asked respectfully as he bowed. Poison Scorpion felt a great deal of pressure with the presence of the Demon Emperor, a young and powerful opponent. He had to show enough loyalty in order to gain the appreciation of this young master. Otherwise, his dream of becoming a venerable rank cultivator would be delayed indefinitely. Ling Xiao naturally did not know the reason why Poison Scorpion was so respectful. He only felt that Poison Scorpion should have been intimidated by his aura, which was why he was so respectful. He was very happy in his heart. I will give you a mission. If you complete this mission well, I will give you the 10,000-year stone emulsion, Ling Xiao said lightly. Please speak, young master. This old servant will naturally do his best, Poison Scorpion immediately replied, but he was incomparably happy in his heart. I want you to help you, rebuild Gu City in the name of Gu City's vassal. Of course, I don't need you to make it perfect and rich. I just need you to restore the people here. When the Gu clan returns in the future, you can hand it back to them to manage. This can also be considered as me fulfilling a bit of my responsibility, Ling Xiao said faintly. When Poison Scorpion heard this mission, he could not help but feel a headache. It sounded simple, but to restore the people of a city that had been abandoned for tens of thousands of years was not something that could be done in a day or two. However, Poison Scorpion knew that he had no other choice and immediately replied, "This old servant will do his best to help Madam rebuild the city, but if you have something to say, just say it," said Ling Xiao. But rebuilding the city is not something that can be done in a day, and this old servant and Madam do not have any experience in this area. I'm afraid it will be a bit difficult, said Poison Scorpion. Ling Xiao felt that Poison Scorpion's words were not without reason. It seemed that the two bald commanders had become something big. Ling Xiao fell silent for a moment, thinking about the development of each city and the conditions for its existence. He suddenly thought of the Dong family's auction. I have an idea. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had thought of a solution. After sending Poison Scorpion away, Ling Xiao was not in a hurry to rebuild Gu City, nor did he immediately leave. Instead, he chose to go into seclusion here. Chapter 419. Why did Ling Xiao close it at this time? It wasn't because he had some new comprehension or breakthrough, but because he wanted to activate the dragon's bloodline in his body, and let his ancient divine emperor function advance a step further. He had the corpse of the 9-headed dragon snake in the obsidian cauldron, as well as the 7th-stage 10,000-year blood coral. These two things were enough to let his dragon bloodline advance a step further, and achieve the so-called royal bloodline. Under the Dragon Wave River, Ling Xiao didn't have the time to dissect the 9-headed dragon snake's corpse. Now, taking advantage of this time, he released the 9-headed dragon snake's corpse. Although this corpse had been dead for a long time, its entire body was still emitting the power of ice and fire, making it difficult for ordinary people to approach. Ling Xiao enlarged the obsidian cauldron, and slowly guided the blood essence of the corpse into the medicine cauldron. The 9-headed dragon snake's corpse was extremely huge, and the amount of blood essence in its body was also extremely large. It took more than half the size of a house to drain out. As the blood essence flowed out, the corpse also became shriveled. Ling Xiao then dissected the corpse, and took out the useful things, such as the beast core, beast skin, beast bones. The flesh that he didn't need was divided between the blue flood dragon and the golden wolf king. In the palm of Ling Xiao's hand was a huge beast core. This beast core was half white and half red, making it look exceptionally strange. Strands of energy overflowed, causing the surroundings to feel hot and cold. The 9-headed dragon snake had 9 heads, but only the head in the middle that could swallow human speech had a beast core. The 9-headed dragon snake was a 8th-stage fierce beast, and it was an extremely rare spirit beast with both ice and fire attributes. The two attributes each took up half, and there was no difference in strength. I thought it would be 9 beast cores of different attributes, but it's actually a mixed-type beast core. Looks like my ice and fire sword can be saved. Ling Xiao was overjoyed as he looked at the beast core in his hand and murmured. He had obtained the ice and fire sword from the old guard in the sex weapon depository. Without the beast core in the sword hilt, it still had the power of a profound-level weapon. He guessed that this ice and fire sword might have been a spirit sword. However, a beast core with both ice and fire attributes was easy to find, but a beast core with both ice and fire attributes was extremely rare and difficult to find. Now that Ling Xiao had obtained this beast core, he could let someone refine the ice and fire sword again. In any case, he still had 2 extremely expensive refining materials in the obsidian cauldron. He planned to forge the ice and fire sword into a sword that was at least a high-grade spirit weapon, so that he could use it more easily. Ling Xiao kept the beast core and took off his clothes, revealing his fit and beautiful figure. Ling Xiao was very narcissistic as he shook his head and recited a poem. A body with the golden ratio, beautiful women will be envious when they see it. Strong and erect, deep and deep, it's really a good poem. With that, he jumped into the cauldron that contained the 9-headed dragon snake's blood essence without hesitation. The 9-headed dragon snake contained a high concentration of dragons' bloodline, and at the same time, it also had the bloodline of other snake clans. Ling Xiao naturally could not swallow all the blood essence and refine it, so he thought of soaking it in the blood essence and slowly extracting the dragons' bloodline. He activated the ancient emperor mystic technique. The pores on his skin expanded, and a bit of blood essence began to seep into his skin. The blood essence seeped into his skin and then into his bloodline, and the mysterious technique began to guide and absorb it. The ancient emperor mystic technique's ability to devour and decompose had always been abnormal. After the mixed blood essence entered, a small portion of the blood was removed, and only the blood essence that belonged to the dragons merged into his bloodline. The dragon's blood essence was abnormally hot, and Ling Xiao only felt that his entire body was hot and unbearable, as if his blood vessels were about to burst at any moment. Ling Xiao already knew that it was not easy to cultivate the ancient emperor mystic technique, and his endurance had long been trained to an extraordinary level in the past few years. He was calm and composed, and the divine technique was on its own, allowing the blood essence to transform his entire body. In fact, Ling Xiao did not know that his feat of absorbing the blood essence was actually a warm-up cultivation for the 5th form of the ancient emperor mystic technique, blood refinement, in advance. The ancient emperor mystic technique was divided into 5 realms: skin refinement, tendon refinement, viscera refinement, bone refinement, and blood refinement. Currently, Ling Xiao had already entered the initial realm of bone refinement, and was still a distance away from the intermediate realm. But now that he had begun to absorb the 9-headed dragon snake's blood essence, the spine and other ribs in his body actually slowly turned yellow, and the golden color of his internal organs gradually showed signs of approaching. Thinking about it, this bone refinement realm, because of the infiltration of the blood essence, caused Ling Xiao's bloodline to begin to mutate, and his bones also received a lot of benefits. Originally, the ancient emperor mystic technique required the Kim people's royal bloodline to cultivate. But this royal bloodline was similar to the true dragon's bloodline, or rather, it was the same. Previously, Ling Xiao had relied on the remnant blood essence of the purple flood dragon and the flood dragon's blood essence to allow his body to cultivate the ancient emperor mystic technique. Now that he had purified his bloodline again, the benefits would definitely be even greater. As more and more of the blood went into his veins, Ling Xiao's blood became a little bit different from the blood of ordinary people. But if you didn't pay attention, you wouldn't be able to see it. Ling Xiao let out a long roar and flew out of the cauldron. He then said to the blue flood dragon, "Xiaolong, go in here." The blue flood dragon had already smelled the blood of its dragons in the cauldron. Seeing that Ling Xiao had already come out, it impatiently entered the blood cauldron. Ling Xiao did not have the time to pay attention to the blue flood dragon. He immediately took out the 10,000-year-old blood coral, tore off 2 of the dozens of vines, and quickly swallowed them into his mouth. Ling Xiao had already taken advantage of the fact that his bloodline had absorbed the dragon's blood essence. He then used the 10,000-year blood coral to purify his bloodline and successfully activated the dragon's blood essence that he had just absorbed. Ling Xiao took advantage of the fact that his bloodline had absorbed the dragon's blood essence. He then used the 10,000-year blood coral to purify his bloodline and successfully activated the dragon's blood essence that he had just absorbed. At the same time, he made it even more concentrated. As the 10,000-year blood coral stem and vine were sucked in, a thick wave of blood churned endlessly in his body. The blood seemed to be burning hot, causing Ling Xiao to be in so much pain that he couldn't help but fall to the ground and scream in pain. This kind of pain was even more painful than when he cultivated the ancient emperor's mystic technique. He felt as if all the blood vessels in his body were about to burst at any moment. At the same time, the bloodline in his body gradually turned a golden color. The golden color of the royal family, the symbol of the dragon's bloodline. Ling Xiao's extraordinary endurance couldn't bear the pain and he finally fainted. Ling Xiao didn't know that when he fainted, dragon scales formed on the surface of his body and tightly wrapped him up. This was the dragon armor's dark force. It was also one of the unique characteristics of cultivating the ancient emperor's mystic technique. This meant that Ling Xiao's bloodline was already suitable for cultivating the ancient emperor's mystic technique. He had initially shown the power of the ancient emperor's mystic technique. However, the technique he cultivated might not be the original version. He would have to wait for an opportunity in the future to obtain the original version of the ancient emperor's mystic technique in order to show the true power of the technique. When Ling Xiao woke up again, he saw that there seemed to be something stuck to his bare body. When he looked at it, it was actually a layer of dried blood. This blood must have been stained by the medicinal cauldron before, but he didn't have time to wash it, so it remained. Ling Xiao bounced up from the ground and breathed a sigh of relief when he found that his body was not seriously injured. He clenched his fists and felt the energy in his body. He only felt that his whole body and mind had a feeling of being able to move mountains and overwhelming momentum. Suddenly, there was a stuffy feeling in his chest. There was a feeling of injustice that he couldn't vent if he didn't vent it. Ling Xiao shouted, raised his fist and smashed it hard toward the ground. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded, and a deep pit more than 10 meters wide appeared on the ground. If he hadn't set up a restriction here before, the house would probably have been destroyed by the impact. For a martial artist above the king stage, a pit more than 10 meters deep could be made with a casual move. But Ling Xiao was very happy because he had created this pit more than 10 meters wide. Because he didn't use any spiritual energy or attribute attack just now, he completely relied on his physical strength to smash the ground to this extent. It could be imagined what kind of terrifying level his physical body had reached. The blood of the dragons has already changed my bloodline, and my physical body has also become more terrifying. If I use the ancient emperor divine technique, I'm afraid that I can directly smash high-level profound weapons. Ling Xiao's eyes shone as he murmured. He had previously smashed a low-level 4th-level profound weapon, and now he was confident that he could smash a profound weapon of the 5th level and above. At the same time, his current physical body was probably comparable to the strength of a 5th-level defensive armor. An ordinary Earth Emperor would probably be unable to kill him with their bare hands. Only the use of a spiritual weapon or a high-level profound skill would be able to make him retreat a little. Ling Xiao calmed his excited state of mind and looked at the medicinal cauldron. He originally thought that the blue dragon would stay inside, but he found that the blue dragon had already come out of the medicinal cauldron. Seeing that it didn't seem to be in high spirits, it seemed that it didn't obtain any benefits from the blood in the medicinal cauldron. Ling Xiao went over to touch the blue dragon's head and said, "You have already eaten the blood coral fruit, and your bloodline has long been purified to the limit. I'm afraid that only the bloodline of a true dragon divine beast can help you reap some benefits. But you don't have to worry. First raise your cultivation level, and one day you will become a true dragon divine beast." Ling Xiao's goal was the same as that of all the men in the world. They all hoped to control the world when awake and lie on the knees of beauties when drunk. However, to achieve this ideal and ambition, one must have a strong strength to rely on. Therefore, Ling Xiao had always wanted to constantly become stronger and break through, so that one day he could support a part of the world that belonged to him, so that he could have a carefree golden nest. When he chose to set foot on the road to the peak, he also hoped that the servants or spirit beasts that followed him would become the supreme existence of tens of thousands of people, and at the same time, he also hoped that the servants or spirit beasts that followed him would become the supreme existence of tens of thousands of beasts. It was just that this ideal was beautiful, but to actually achieve it, who knew how long it would take and how much effort it would take? Ling Xiao originally wanted to clean up the blood in the medicinal cauldron, but the obsidian cauldron's soul reminded Ling Xiao to pour the blood into the second layer of the medicinal cauldron. This way, he could also cultivate some strange spirit herbs. Ling Xiao thought about it and felt that the cauldron's words made sense, so he poured all the remaining blood into the second layer of the medicinal cauldron. After Ling Xiao washed his body with clean water, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. He suddenly thought of purifying the Golden Wolf King's bloodline. Perhaps there would be unexpected gains? Thinking of this, Ling Xiao summoned the Golden Wolf King. Chapter 420. The Golden Wolf King was the first spirit beast that Ling Xiao had subdued with great effort. At the time, it was only an advanced rank 2 spirit beast, but it had a rank 3 beast core and a mutated third eye on its forehead. It was supposed to be a wind wolf, but it had a high concentration of the metal attribute and was the mutated king of the wind wolves. Over the years, it had followed Ling Xiao and advanced to the intermediate rank 4 spirit beast. However, with the existence of the blue flood dragon, its usefulness had decreased by a lot. However, Ling Xiao wasn't the kind of person who would forget the old and be greedy for the new. Therefore, he planned to purify the Golden Wolf King's bloodline and see if it had the high-rank Tenbin bloodline. The 10,000-year blood coral was different from ordinary spirit herbs. It had dozens of roots, and each root contained a large amount of essence energy. The 10,000-year-old blood coral was extremely precious, and Ling Xiao intended to keep a portion of it to refine the vitality-prolonging pill. That was why he only ate 2 stalks before, but now he took 5 stalks and fed them to the Golden Wolf King. "Xiao Jin, eat it." Ling Xiao placed the roots in front of the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King and Ling Xiao had signed a master-servant contract, so it obeyed Ling Xiao's words. It stuck out its tongue and rolled the roots into its mouth. After consuming the stem, the Golden Wolf King couldn't help but howl towards the sky. All the golden fur on its body stood up like needles. Its third eye also slowly opened, and its bloodthirsty fangs were constantly grinding. "It worked!" Ling Xiao exclaimed with joy. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the Golden Wolf King didn't have any more changes. The Golden Wolf King twitched its ears and said, "Master, is there anything else to eat? Those few blades of grass seem to be too little." Ling Xiao really wanted to kick this glutton. That was a rank 7 spirit herb, blood coral, not a few blades of grass. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment, then took out 5 more roots and fed them to the Golden Wolf King. This was the true beginning of the mutation. A ball of dazzling golden light blossomed, and the howling of the wolf rang out incessantly. The wolf's fur was no longer a pure golden color, but had become a mix of gold and white, faintly showing signs of growing longer. The wolf's fangs and claws also became longer and sharper. On its forehead, a small bundle of pure white wolf fur protruded from the middle of its head, like a unique embellishment, causing it to become a lot more arrogant. The third wolf's eye continued to flicker with a strange divine light, unexpectedly no longer shrinking into the gap between its skin, but instead occupying a spot like the other 2 eyes, forming a fixed third eye. In addition to the changes on the surface of its body, its aura was also rising steadily. It had actually directly jumped 2 levels and reached the low level of the 5th step. This truly shocked Ling Xiao. "It's a true 3-eyed wolf now," Ling Xiao said, looking at the Golden Wolf King. The current Golden Wolf King was very different from a real wind wolf, and also different from other wolf breeds. It seemed that the bloodline purification this time had made it a true high-level variant spirit beast. The Golden Wolf King had advanced, and its appearance had become not only mighty, but also a little more arrogant. Arrogance, perhaps, was the unique characteristic of a wolf spirit beast. After driving the Golden Wolf King and the Blue Flood Dragon out to let out some fresh air, Ling Xiao began to plan the first step of rebuilding Gu City. He didn't have much time to accompany Xianxia and Poison Scorpion to slowly rebuild and take care of Gu City here. However, as the initiator, it would be unreasonable if he didn't make some effort. Therefore, he planned to build an auction in Gu City that was not inferior to Nantian City. With his identity as a rank 5 alchemist, as long as he refined a batch of high-level pills, let the Blue Flood Dragon hunt some high-level spirit rank pills, and then took out some high-level spirit herbs to auction, he would definitely be able to attract countless people. It had to be known that these auction things were extremely tempting, and there would be no shortage of auctions in any big city. With an auction, people would come to auction things, and at the same time, it would also publicize the disappearance of Gu City's reopening. Then, there would be no need to worry about no merchants coming to develop here. With merchants, it would mean a flow of people, and Gu City could slowly develop. In the future, when the people of the Gu clan returned to their homeland, they would no longer need to worry about rebuilding their home. For 10 days in a row, Ling Xiao concentrated on refining pills in the house. He mainly refined 3rd and 4th grade medicinal pills, but he only refined 2 5th grade medicinal pills. After all, it would take a lot of time to refine 5th grade pills. He still had to go out and hunt some high-level spirit beasts to find some rare treasures to make up for the number. Otherwise, if only pills were to be auctioned at the auction, it would be a bit embarrassing. Ling Xiao summoned Xianxia, the Demon Emperor, and Poison Scorpion. Ling Xiao conveyed his intentions to the 3 of them, and then handed the refined pills to Xianxia for safekeeping. "Husband, your idea is right, but it's not enough to rely on these. The auction is held once a month. If husband leaves here and the pills are auctioned, what can we take out to win people's hearts? Do you want us to search for precious treasures every day? It's not that easy to find treasures in this world," Xianxia said clearly. Ling Xiao nodded and replied, "Then what do you think you are?" Kai Shuyue replied, I think we have to make friends with other forces, big and small, and let them know the strength of our auction house. Let them provide us with supplies, and we can auction them at a good price. This way, everyone will know that there are many good things in our auction, and we will be able to attract a steady stream of people. Madam is right. Although this old servant has never joined any forces, I have made friends with some hidden heroes over the years. I can let them have good things to auction here, Poison Scorpion said. The demon emperor was silent at the side, as if he was not interested in these things. Ling Xiao smiled and said, Yours thoughts are the same as mine. There will be no shortage of pills, spirit herbs, and spirit beasts. What we lack the most are profound artifacts, spirit artifacts, profound skills, and those rare treasures. The first step is to perfect these sources, so we don't have to worry about not being able to continue. As for the rest of the industry, we will give some to the merchants first, and leave some for the descendants of the Gu clan to take over in the future. At this time, Poison Scorpion continued, In terms of refining, the Tang family is the best in the southern wasteland. They have been refining for generations, and there have been a few 6th-stage grandmasters. Now, the Tang family's old man is also a 6th-stage spirit tool grandmaster. If we can get the Tang family supply, the problem of profound artifacts and spirit artifacts can be solved. Ling Xiao was delighted. He hadn't thought about where to refine his ice and fire sword, but now that he heard Poison Scorpion's words, his interest was greatly increased. Since the Tang family was a refining family and had a grandmaster-level figure in charge, he believed that he could refine his ice and fire sword. At the same time, he could take this opportunity to talk to the Tang family and see if he could obtain their support. This way, he could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The trip to the Tang family was extremely necessary. Now that he had a way to solve the problem of the weapons, he would have to rely on others to auction off the other rare treasures. In this regard, he would have to widely publicize the auction. If it was attractive enough, there was no need to be afraid that no one would come. However, before that, there was still a very important problem to solve. A large city must have a transmission array. Otherwise, how could people from remote places rush here? Did he have to spend a lot of time coming from somewhere else? This was obviously impossible. Savage Leopard, check if there's a transmission array in the city. Ling Xiao said to the Demon Emperor. Savage Leopard was the name of the current Demon Emperor's body. It was very similar to the Demon Emperor's cold and bloodthirsty personality. The Demon Emperor himself also liked this code name. He decided that he would use this name to return to his former peak, or even surpass his original cultivation and break into the saint level. The Savage Leopard, Demon Emperor, bowed slightly and said, There is indeed a transmission array in the city, but it's a bit damaged. We need to redraw the runes to use it. Ling Xiao was overjoyed. With a transmission array, it would be much more convenient to travel between cities. Furthermore, there would be a large amount of profound crystal income. It would be much easier to develop in the future. I'll leave the matter of repairing the runes to you. You and Scorpion go hunt a few rank 5 spirit beasts. If you can find beast eggs or young beasts, that's fine too. I'll go discuss with the Savage Leopard about the Tang family, Ling Xiao instructed. Young master, with your relationship with the Lai Emperor, you can get the Raging Flame mercenary group to provide us with some supplies. I believe that the Lai Emperor will be very happy to help you, Poison Scorpion suggested. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. Poison Scorpion's words were right. Mercenary groups relied on hunting spirit beasts, searching for spirit herbs, and completing missions to survive. If the mercenary group under Nangong Lai were to provide some good supplies, then not only would they be able to solve the problem of the auction being out of stock, but they would also be able to increase the popularity of the auction. What if the Raging Flame mercenary group were to be stationed here? Ling Xiao boldly imagined. This might be a bit difficult, Poison Scorpion replied with a bitter smile. Why? Are you worried that the Gu clan won't agree? Ling Xiao asked. That's not it, but the Lai Emperor was originally a member of the Nangong family. His heart is on the Nangong family's side, and he has already stationed the mercenary group in the Nangong family's headquarters. He definitely won't be easily transferred away, so there's no need for young master to waste your time on this, Poison Scorpion replied. Ling Xiao suddenly understood and immediately said, So that's how it is. But now that we have a way, rebuilding Gu City will be much easier. The key is to see how we can spread the news of Gu City's reopening to all the cities in the southern territory. This is easy, but there were many forces that wanted to occupy Gu City and become the king. Now that Gu City has been reopened, I'm afraid that there will be many forces that will be tempted, Poison Scorpion said. Xianxia interrupted. With us here, I'm sure ordinary forces won't dare to be presumptuous. Xianxia was already a mid-level Earth Emperor, and Poison Scorpion was a high-level Earth Emperor. The two of them were already at the top of the southern wasteland. Other than a few major forces, who would dare to snatch their territory? Ling Xiao thoughtfully revealed a cunning smile and said, "It's best if someone comes to snatch our territory, so that we can increase our manpower." The other three were stunned, and then they all revealed a look of understanding. After dividing the work, Xianxia and Poison Scorpion went to the nearest mountain forest to look for high-level spirit beasts, while the savage leopard seized the time to repair the formation patterns. When the formation patterns of the transmission formation were re-engraved, waves of spatial energy continuously flashed in the sky above Gu City, and only after a long time did it return to normal. Ling Xiao and the savage leopard set foot on the road to the Tang family. Chapter 421. 10,000 years ago, Gu City was already the largest city in the southern wasteland. The transmission array built in the city naturally led to many stronghold cities. One of the cities was controlled by the Tang family, and at the same time, it was also the territory of the Tang family. Giant Peak City. This was a city named after the peak. Numerous stone peaks stood tall here, appearing abnormally tall and lofty. At the foot of the mountains, numerous pavilions were built against the mountains. There was a sea of people, spirit birds flying, and waves of metal clanging reverberated within the city, ceaselessly without end. Giant Peak City was also an ancient city that had existed for 30,000 years. Before the Tang family dominated the city, this was just a small city. Later on, the Tang family took root here and established a refining family, which gradually developed this place into a big city in the southern wasteland. Just as Ling Xiao and the cruel leopard stepped into the Giant Peak City, they heard the sound of iron being forged. Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh, as expected of a crafting family. Even the people of this city focus on crafting. Looking at the refining shops on both sides of the street, Ling Xiao felt dazzled. In these ordinary refining shops, it was actually easy to find a level 3 Xian artifact, and occasionally, 1 or 2 level 4 Xian artifacts. No wonder most of the martial artists walking on the street were carrying Xian artifacts on their backs. As for those level 1 or 2 ordinary weapons, they were only carried by those unranked martial artists. This really broadened Ling Xiao's horizons. Thinking back to when he was in Meteorite City, it was difficult for a few big families to find a Xian artifact, but here there were many of them. It was truly a difference of cloud and mud. Forget it, one day, I'll bring all the people from the clan out and let them experience it. I won't have to stay in that remote and desolate place for the rest of my life. Ling Xiao thought in his heart. Ling Xiao and the cruel leopard arrived at the largest shop in the city. This was the largest weapon shop directly under the Tang family. There were all sorts of weapons displayed in the shop. Every weapon was a 3rd tier and above profound armament. Not a single one of them was a 1st tier or 2nd tier mortal weapon. The craftsmanship of these profound armaments was extremely exquisite and unique. The spiritual energy fluctuations were extremely strong. It was obvious that every single one of them was a top-grade masterpiece. When Ling Xiao and Savage Leopard walked into the weapon shop, a middle-aged spirit master immediately greeted them with a smile. "Please feel free to take a look. Our Tang clan's Xian weapons are publicly recognized as the best." Ling Xiao lightly waved his beautiful fan, and with a carefree and unrestrained manner he said, "We are not here to buy a profound-level weapon, but to ask the master of your shop to help us forge a spiritual weapon. I wonder if that is possible?" Apart from selling weapons, most weapon shops also accepted the business of forging weapons. The middle-aged man was stunned at first, then he replied, "Are you sure you want to refine a spirit tool and not a Xian tool?" "Of course," Ling Xiao replied indifferently. The middle-aged man said, "Then do you know that the price of forging a spirit tool is not cheap? Moreover, you need to prepare your own materials. Otherwise, we won't be able to accept it." Ling Xiao said indifferently, "I understand the rules. Why don't you ask your shop's manager to come out? Other than forging a spirit tool, I also have a big business to discuss with your shop. Before the middle-aged man could reply, a rather disdainful voice rang out. I wonder which family you are from? Not just anyone can do business with our Tang clan. Ling Xiao turned his head to look and saw a young man around 25 years old walking in surrounded by two young girls. This young man was dressed luxuriously and had a proud expression on his face as he strode in with wide steps. When the middle-aged man saw this young man, a trace of imperceptible disgust flashed across his face. However, he still squeezed out a smile and bowed. Greetings, second young master. This young man was the nephew of the Tang clan's patriarch, Tang Owling. He was a high-level spirit master. He was lecherous, arrogant, and liked to bully others. In Giant Summit City, he was famous for being a young thug. Tang Owling didn't even look at the middle-aged man. He looked at Ling Xiao and said with contempt, Look at your shabby appearance. I don't know where this swindler came from. How dare you come to my Tang clan's territory and cause trouble? You're really blind. Ling Xiao frowned. The savage leopard behind him wanted to teach Tang Owling a lesson but was stopped by Ling Xiao. What, do you dare to attack this young master? Are you tired of living? Hurry up and get out, or else I'll let you know how powerful this young master is. Tang Owling pointed at Ling Xiao and shouted. He had been cultivating 10 bins since he was young. He also grew up in an ancient family and was doted on by the elders. This was why he had such a condescending personality. He was only a high-level spirit master, so he couldn't see the depth of Ling Xiao and the savage leopard's strength. He only thought that the two of them were so young, so how could they have the ability to provide the price and materials to refine a spirit weapon? They were probably swindlers. Ling Xiao was very displeased and said to the middle-aged man, Is this how your shop treats its guests? The middle-aged man looked at Ling Xiao apologetically and said, You too, why don't you go somewhere else? The middle-aged man was only the shopkeeper of this shop and didn't have much power. How could he argue with his second young master? He could only persuade Ling Xiao and the savage leopard to leave for now. I can't believe that the dignified Tang clan can't even forge a spirit weapon. Instead, they use this kind of price to drive away customers. How disappointing. Ling Xiao looked at Tang Owling with extreme disgust. You bastard. Do you know how much each spiritual tool costs to forge? What kind of high-level materials do you need? Even an ordinary earthly emperor wouldn't dare to casually forge a spirit weapon. You're still wet behind the ears, and you dare to ruin my Tang clan? You're courting death. Tang Owling roared at Ling Xiao and prepared to teach Ling Xiao a lesson. Impudent! Before Ling Xiao could make a move, the savage leopard behind him shouted and a powerful aura spread out. Tang Owling's chest seemed to have been punched, and he was instantly sent flying out of the door. A stream of blood spurted out. Second young master. The two girls chased after him and cried out. The middle-aged man in the shop was startled at first, then he said to Ling Xiao and the savage leopard, What is the meaning of this? Although he didn't like the second young master's self-righteous personality, this was still the Tang clan's territory. How could he allow someone to hurt the second young master here? However, judging from the other party's attack, he was definitely not an ordinary person. At the very least, he was a king stage expert. Ling Xiao closed his fan and sneered, I originally wanted to do a big business with your shop, but it seems like there's no way to discuss it. Then Ling Xiao turned around to leave. The middle-aged man could only bite the bullet and stop Ling Xiao and the savage leopard. If you leave without giving us an explanation, I'm afraid it will damage my Tang clan's reputation. What a joke. Although this is your Tang clan's territory, it doesn't mean that we're afraid of your Tang clan. If you don't leave now, don't blame me for being impolite, Ling Xiao said unhappily. He had originally wanted to attract the Tang clan's attention, and then further contact the Tang clan's higher-ups to discuss the cooperation. Unexpectedly, he had caused such an incident, which really made Ling Xiao annoyed. What big words! You actually dare to not put my Tang clan in your eyes. You can go out today lying down. A dignified voice came from the staircase. An old man and a middle-aged man walked out from upstairs. The one who spoke was the old man with the cultivation of a mid-stage king stage, while the middle-aged man was a low-stage king stage. Obviously, he was the shop's manager. Two managers. When the middle-aged man saw the two of them, it was as if he had seen his savior and immediately called out. Ling Xiao ignored the two of them and walked out of the door with the savage leopard.
How dare you run after seeing us?
The low-stage king stage expert shouted angrily. He stomped on the ground with one foot, and his figure was like a ghost as he pounced towards Ling Xiao and the savage leopard. Ling Xiao didn't even turn his head, while the savage leopard fiercely glared at the low-stage king stage expert. Puff! The low-stage king stage expert only felt as if thousands of stones were smashing towards him, and his entire body bounced back like a cannonball.
Tang Shi!
The old man exclaimed and immediately ran to the low-stage king stage expert who was lying on the ground. He looked at his companion who had already died, and his heart turned cold. The opponent had actually used only a pair of eyes to shock his companion to death. What kind of cultivation was this? The old man's face turned ashen. Did the other party really come with bad intentions this time? The middle-aged man who had just received Ling Xiao and the savage leopard swallowed his saliva, and cold sweat dripped down his face. He thought to himself, "Second young master has caused big trouble. Fortunately, I didn't make a move just now. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know what happened when I died." The old man walked out of the door and found that the two murderers were still walking slowly, as if they didn't want to run away because of killing people. "You two want to leave just like that? You don't put my Tang clan in your eyes." The old man didn't dare to get close to Ling Xiao and the savage leopard. After shouting, he raised his hand into the air, and something shot out from his hand. Bang! A dazzling firework exploded in the air. In the giant summit city, many people saw this firework. This is the Tang clan's distress signal. What's going on? Could it be that someone is provoking the Tang clan's dignity? It came from the Tang clan's weapon shop. There are two king stage stewards there. Could it be that something really happened? How many years has it been since I've seen the Tang clan send out a distress signal? It seems that someone has eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall. Don't they know that the giant summit city is the Tang clan's world? Let's go and see where this person came from. He's actually so bold.
Young master, he sent a signal, should we?
The savage leopard said as he made a cutting motion.
Ling Xiao said indifferently, "Let him be."
After pausing for a moment he said, "In the future, don't kill anyone without my orders." He came to the giant summit city to get the Tang clan's old man to help him reforge his ice and fire sword. At the same time, he also wanted to get the Tang clan's support so that he could hold an auction in Gu City. Now that the savage leopard had killed someone, it seemed that things were going to be difficult. The savage leopard nodded his head, but his eyes were filled with disdain. Ling Xiao brought the savage leopard to a restaurant that was closest to the Tang clan's weapon shop. They were not in a hurry to leave. The Tang clan's elder had been following behind them the entire time. His old eyes were filled with anger, but at the same time, they were filled with confusion. "Do you really not put my Tang clan in your eyes? Too arrogant. Even if you are the earthly emperor, don't even think about leaving today." The old man thought to himself. Chapter 422. The members of the Tang family in all directions of the giant summit city saw their family's distress signal. They were stunned at first, and then they all rushed to the weapon shop. In just a moment, hundreds of Tang family members had arrived. The mystic novice level had the most people. They were all guards that patrolled the city. There were also quite a number of spirit masters. They were all attendants that were scattered in all directions of the city. There were also around 20 king-level people. All of their expressions were filled with anxiety. A high-level king-level middle-aged man coldly glanced at the middle-aged spirit master and asked, "What happened?" The middle-aged spirit master immediately bowed and gave a brief account of what had just happened to the middle-aged king-tier spirit master. "You said that he killed Tang Shi with just one look?" The high-level king-level spirit master revealed a look of disbelief. The 20 or so king-rank experts behind him also revealed astonished expressions. "Yes, Elder Bai. Second young master's injuries aren't light. Let's go take a look." The middle-aged spirit master replied. "Bastards, immediately go and help Tang Rong. You dare kill someone from my Tang clan in the city? You must be tired of living," shouted the high-level king-level spirit master. He was led by the middle-aged spirit master into the rear courtyard. This high-level king-level spirit master was the 7th elder of the Tang family, Tang Bai. He was also the city lord of Giant Summit City. After entering the backyard, they saw Tang Owling being supported by two young girls as he walked out of the house.
Let go of me. Go back and call the elders to deal with that little bastard. Tang Owling said to the girls beside him with difficulty.
Ling Xiao had just ordered Savage Leopard to teach him a lesson. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to stand up and speak. The two girls were just about to speak when they saw Tang Bai walk in. They immediately said respectfully, "Greetings, seventh elder." Tang Bai didn't even look at the two girls. Instead, he looked at Tang Owling and asked, "Owling, are you all right?" "Seventh uncle, you came at the right time. Quickly go and catch that little bastard. I want to kill him myself."
Tang Owling immediately said.
"Don't worry, some elders have already gone to intercept that brat. I believe they'll be able to bring him back very quickly. You should first return to your room to recuperate," replied Tang Bai. "That's good. I'll personally see that little bastard beg for mercy. How dare he hurt me? He must be tired of living." Tang Owling's eyes flashed with malice. In a restaurant not far away, Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard were calmly drinking wine and eating snacks.
Savage Leopard drank a mouthful of wine and said, "Young master, you might as well kill your way to the Tang family and have them refine a spirit artifact for you.
Why waste time with them?" Ling Xiao sipped a small mouthful of wine and smiled faintly. "Using force is not the best solution. If I force them to refine spirit tools for me, I'm afraid they won't do their best. Not to mention, I still need their help, so it's not good to resolve the enmity between us for now." Cruel Leopard found it difficult to communicate with Ling Xiao, so he simply closed his mouth and stopped talking. At this time, a large group of Tang family members rushed into the restaurant. When Tang Rong saw that his family's reinforcements had arrived, he immediately greeted them and shouted, "Old Zhong, they're inside." A high-level king sage said to Tang Rong, "The seventh elder has ordered that we must keep them here. We'll go in and capture them." Tang Rong pulled the high-level king stage back and said nervously, "Old Zhong, listen to me first." Then he whispered something in the high-level king stage's ear. The high-level king stage's expression became slightly ugly. "You said that one of them is a monarch stage master?" "That should be right. Otherwise how would they dare to stay in Giant Summit City?" Tang Rong replied. Tang Zhong frowned. "No matter what, we must go in and take a look. If it's really a monarch stage master, immediately inform the family's elders to deal with them." After saying that, Tang Zhong led the 5 king stage masters into the restaurant. "The Tang family is handling a matter. Those who have no business here should leave quickly," Tang Zhong said to the people in the restaurant. Whoosh! As soon as the people in the restaurant heard Tang Zhong's words, they immediately ran away in panic. Even the shopkeeper didn't dare to stay, which showed how high the Tang family's prestige in Giant Summit City was. Tang Zhong stared at Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard, who were still drinking. "Are they the ones who killed our Tang family's people?"
Tang Zhong narrowed his eyes and asked Tang Rong.
"Yes, they killed Tang Shi, and second young master also suffered a lot." Tang Rong nodded and replied. Tang Zhong strode in front of Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard, and fiercely slapped the table between the two of them. Pa! The table between Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard was instantly torn apart. Before Tang Zhong made his move, Ling Xiao had already taken out the wine pot and cup and said, "Uncle, don't act cool. Can't you see that I'm busy? If you disturb my mood, the consequences will be very serious." Tang Zhong glared at Ling Xiao and shouted, "I don't have time to waste with you. If you know what's good for you, quickly go back with me and wait for our Tang family's punishment. Otherwise, next year today will be your death." Before he could finish, Ling Xiao interrupted. "His words are too noisy." As soon as Ling Xiao's words fell, Cruel Leopard made his move. Pa! Tang Zhong didn't have any time to react, and was sent flying by Cruel Leopard's palm. Several bloody teeth flew out of his mouth. "Everyone, let's get rid of them together." Tang Rong immediately exclaimed. The king stage experts who came in immediately released all kinds of attacks at the same time. "Throw them out." Ling Xiao was still sitting steadily as he said to Cruel Leopard. Cruel Leopard licked his mouth, raised his hand, and a black fog wall pressed towards them. The king stage experts, including Tang Rong, were all sent flying out of the restaurant at the same time. They didn't die, but their injuries weren't light. The Tang family members outside the restaurant were shocked. Someone exclaimed, "Dark? Dark attribute. Could it be that the shadow sex people have come? Quickly go back and report to the seventh elder. We need to go back and ask the elder of the previous generation to come out and help us." A king stage expert shouted. For a moment, no one from the Tang family dared to enter the restaurant again. However, they still tightly surrounded the restaurant, afraid that Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard would escape. Not long after, Tang Bai personally rushed over.
He first glanced at the people lying on the ground, then shouted towards the restaurant, "May I know which senior of the shadow sect has arrived?"
His words were a lot more polite. After all, the shadow sect's prestige in the southern wasteland wasn't just for show. Even the Tang family, as one of the four great families, had to be careful. However, he had spoken for a while, but no one responded. "May I know which senior of the shadow sect has arrived?" Tang Bai asked again. This time, there was a response. Something flew out of the restaurant's entrance. "Retreat!" Tang Bai didn't know what flew out from inside, but he was immediately shocked and cried out to the people behind him. "Rumble!" That thing smashed in front of the restaurant's entrance, causing the ground to sink. "What is it?" Everyone from the Tang family had inexplicable question marks on their faces. Tang Bai boldly took a few steps forward and looked at the thing that had smashed out. He saw a black stone that weighed several hundred kilograms stuck in the pit. Tang Bai looked at the stone, and his pupils slightly shrank.
His divine light blossomed with a scorching light as he said, This is 10,000-year mysterious iron?" As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the Tang family members behind Tang Bai changed, and they immediately rushed forward to take a look. It's really 10,000-year mysterious iron. Great, with it, the family can refine spirit tools again. This piece is at least several hundred kilograms, enough to refine dozens of spirit tools. Seventh elder, quickly put it away, lest someone else takes it. One by one, the Tang family members excitedly pointed at it. The Tang family had been refining tools for generations, and each of them more or less knew the art of refining tools. They were even more familiar with the materials used for refining tools, so they all confirmed that the stone in front of them was 10,000-year mysterious iron. It was one of the main indispensable materials to refine any spirit tool or saint tool. Tang Bai looked at the 10,000-year mysterious iron and reached out to put it away. Swoosh! A black light shot out, and Tang Bai couldn't dodge in time. A small hole was instantly opened in his palm, and blood trickled out. Tang Bai endured the pain and retreated again and again, and the rest of the Tang family also retreated. "Whoever dares to touch the mysterious iron will die." A cold voice came from inside the restaurant. The faces of the Tang family members changed. Although they were indignant, they didn't dare to take half a step forward. "Tang Da, quickly go back and report this matter to the patriarch. Let him decide." Tang Bai shouted at someone while covering his palm. One of the king stage experts responded and quickly flew towards a certain direction. The Tang family's main camp wasn't in the city, but in a majestic mountain range outside the city. More than 10 mountain ranges were all occupied by the Tang family. Among them, the highest mountain peak was like a giant sword pointing to the sky. It looked abnormally steep and domineering. The king-level martial artist who reported flew directly to the middle of the highest mountain peak. That was where the Tang family patriarch lived, and also where the Tang family's tool refining pool was located. The Tang family's tool refining pool was a famous place for refining tools in the southern wasteland. It was said that heavenly lightning would often descend, and thunder and fire would blast into the pool, forming a thunder-fire pool. With the thunder and fire here, divine weapons could be forged. All the spirit weapons produced by the Tang family had been tempered by the thunder and fire in the artifact refining pool. The existence of the tool refining pool could be said to be the foundation of the Tang family's prosperity. Now the Tang family patriarch, Tang Tianhao, was refining weapons naked in front of the tool refining pool. Tang Tianhao was a high-level king-level martial artist and a fifth-stage blacksmith. He only needed to refine a spirit tool grandmaster. Clank! Tang Tianhao's face was covered in sweat as he swung the giant hammer on the knife. The knife became thinner and thinner, and the sharpness of the blade was highlighted. Sizzle! The big knife was thrown into the tool refining pool, which was filled with thick thunder and fire. It emitted a thick smoke, and the big knife actually melted in an instant. Tang Tianhao shook his head and said,
It's still not enough. Even 5,000 years of black profound iron can't withstand the burning of thunder and fire. Could it be that I, Tang Tianhao, can only stop here? Father, don't be discouraged. With Father's ability, I'm afraid that he has already stepped into the 6th stage. It's just that he lacks the materials to use the thunder and fire to refine it, a young man with a resolute appearance said. This young man was the Tang family's first young master, who was also Tang Tianhao's eldest son, Tang Guang. Chapter 423. The Tang family's father and son were the most outstanding blacksmiths in the past 2 generations. Although Tang Guada only had the strength of a low-level king, he and his father were both 5th-rank blacksmiths and were known as the most promising blacksmith to become the next Spirit Tools Grandmaster. But now, the Tang clan was facing a lack of main materials to refine spiritual weapons, so they could no longer refine spiritual weapons. The father and son were also troubled by this problem, so they temporarily stopped at the 5th-rank blacksmith realm. Tang Tianhao put on his clothes with the help of the servants and smiled at his son. Don't comfort me. Although I've been in the 5th rank for many years, I still can't forge a peak 5th rank profound weapon. This proves that your father's blacksmithing skills are not perfect enough. He paused for a moment before continuing. It's been hard on you. Your great-grandfather has always said that you already have the qualifications to enter the 6th rank. It's a pity that our family's 7,000-year-old black iron has been used up and we haven't been able to find new materials for you to try forging a spirit tool. Otherwise, our Tang family would definitely have another Spirit Tools Grandmaster. Tang Guada revealed a confident expression. I've liked blacksmithing since I was young and put in more effort than others. Naturally, I can make better ones. It's a pity that I didn't gain anything in Gu City half a month ago and caused so many deaths in the family. Tang Tianhao patted him on the shoulder and said, You don't have to blame yourself. This was the unanimous decision of the family. It's just that you shouldn't have been allowed to go personally back then. I almost had to send you off. Just as Tang Guada was about to say something, someone came to report, Patriarch, Donder has something important to discuss with you. The father and son stopped talking and walked out of the blacksmithing pool. Greetings, Patriarch, eldest young master. Donder bowed respectfully to the two. Donder, why are you so flustered? Tang Tianhao asked. Donder didn't hesitate and immediately reported to Tang Tianhao what had happened in front of the weapon shop and the restaurant. When he heard that the 10,000-year-old black iron had appeared in front of the restaurant, Tang Tianhao couldn't hide his excitement and exclaimed, It's really 10,000-year-old black iron. Are you sure you didn't see wrongly? Tang Guada's expression also became excited. The Tang family had been lacking materials to forge spirit tools for many years and hadn't been able to buy them. How could they not be excited when they heard that such a high-quality material had appeared? It's absolutely true. 7th Elder and I saw it with our own eyes. Donder replied firmly. Father, no matter what price we have to pay, we have to get it, Tang Guogue said with a burning gaze. Tang Tianhao took a deep breath and said, That belongs to the Magic Shadow sect. I really don't know what the other party is trying to do. Are they really here to forge spirit tools for spirit tools? Father, this matter cannot be delayed. We should immediately ask the previous generation elder to go out and see what the other party's intentions are. If the other party really has come to refine a spirit artifact, then no matter what, we must accept it. If they have come to cause trouble, then it is best to prepare early, said Tang Guo from the side. All right, Luo Da, go and convey my intentions immediately. Invite Elder Jin and Elder Fu out of seclusion, Tang Tianhao replied. Just as Tang Gang accepted the order and left, he called out to Tang Guegua, Don't tell the old man about this first, otherwise he will personally come out to snatch it. He is in a critical period. It is better not to alarm him. I know, Tang Guada replied and immediately left to ask the Tang family's elder to come out of seclusion. A quarter of an hour later, a few figures flew out of the Tang family and into the city. In the restaurant, Ling Xiao was still leisurely drinking wine and humming a little tune, looking indescribably carefree. Savage Leopard glanced in one direction and said, Young master, there are 2 Earth Emperors rushing over here. Ling Xiao nodded and said, Yes, it should be someone important from the Tang family. Whether or not it goes smoothly depends on this negotiation. Young master, Since your goal is the central region, why are you still busy here?
Savage Leopard asked the question in his heart.
Ling Xiao looked at Savage Leopard and smiled. You can't wait to go back to the central region to take revenge? Savage Leopard replied, thousands of years have passed. I think that guy has already broken through to the Saint Realm. With my current strength, I am still not his match. Even if I want to recover my strength, I will still need to rely on young master's help.
In these two small places like the southern wasteland and the northwest, there are too few rare things, so I feel that young master will only know how big this world is and how many experts there are.
Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said, are you worried that I will be satisfied with the current situation? Or do you think that I am too short-sighted?
Savage Leopard replied. Savage Leopard doesn't dare.
Ling Xiao took a sip of wine and said, how could I not want to go to the central region immediately and take a look at the center of the continent where experts are like the clouds? However, there are some things that I have to do. I can guarantee that in less than 3 years, I will definitely go to the central region to take a good look at the place where you used to live and see if it is as good as you say. At this moment, a few powerful auras from the Tang family landed outside the restaurant. Greetings, Patriarch. Greetings, Elders. When the people from the Tang family saw who it was, they immediately bowed and greeted in unison. The people who came were Tang Tianhao, Tang Guagua, Tang Da, and the 2 Earth Emperors of the Tang family. Where is the 10,000-year black iron? Tang Tianhao immediately asked. Tang Bai pointed to the deep pit at the side and said, over there. Before Tang Tianhao could react, Tang Guagua had already arrived in front of the deep pit. It really is 10,000-year black iron. Looking at this texture, it should be far more than 10,000 years old. It really is a top-grade black iron. Tang Guagua muttered as he emitted a scorching light. So. Tang Tianhao and the 2 Earth Emperors of the Tang family instantly arrived in front of the deep pit. It really is 10,000-year black iron. Such a large piece is probably 700 to 800 kilograms. Tang Tianhao swallowed his saliva and said. The 2 Earth Emperors beside him also revealed incomparably excited expressions. As a family of blacksmiths, the Tang family desired this kind of high-grade equipment more than ordinary high-grade spirit herbs. This kind of black iron that was more than 10,000 years old usually existed in some dangerous places and was very difficult to excavate. 10 kilograms of this kind of 10,000-year black iron was enough to forge a spirit weapon. Its value was comparable to a 6th-tier high-grade spirit herb. And this piece of 10,000-year black iron in front of them, even if the Tang family had to take out dozens of 6th-tier high-grade spirit herbs or a few 7th-tier spirit herbs to exchange for it, they wouldn't feel that they were at a disadvantage. The premise was that they could take out such a high-grade spirit herb collection. Father, you must take it. Tang Guagua said solemnly to Tang Tianhao in a low voice. Tang Tianhao didn't hide his intentions and nodded heavily. He thought to himself, with this piece of black iron, my Tang family can forge spirit weapons again. Guagua also has a chance of becoming a spirit weapon master. Let's go in and see which senior from the Shadow Sect is here. Tang Tianhao said and immediately walked into the restaurant. Tang Guagua, Tang Bai, and the 2 earthly emperors followed nervously. The other members of the Tang family didn't have enough status, so they could only guard the big piece of 10,000-year black iron outside. They couldn't let it disappear without a trace. After Tang Tianhao walked into the restaurant, his expression froze when he saw Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard. He heard Donder's report that there were earthly emperors from the Shadow Sect in the restaurant. However, when he saw how young these 2 people were, he couldn't help but be puzzled. Now that Ling Xiao had appeared here, it wasn't surprising that they were able to recognize Ling Xiao at a glance. When Ling Xiao saw the young man and the old man, he remembered that the 2 of them had claimed to be from the Tang family. He thought to himself, what a coincidence, it seems like things will be much easier. Ling Xiao stood up, cupped his hands and said, it's just a small matter. You don't have to worry about it. By the way, brother, how should I address you? My name is Tang Guagua, and this is my father. This is my family's previous elder, Elder Jean. After Tang Guagua introduced himself, he introduced himself as a member of the Tang family. If Ling Xiao was just an ordinary low-level king stage cultivator, Tang Guagua naturally wouldn't be so polite. However, he had seen Ling Xiao's ability, so he naturally didn't dare to be careless. Chapter 424. Tang Tianhao, the other Earth King of the Tang family, and Tang Bai were all surprised. Who on earth was this young man? How could he make the arrogant Tang Ge so enthusiastic and Tang Jin so polite? Ling Xiao cupped his hands and said, "I'm Ling Xiao. Greetings, everyone. So it's Brother Ling. What business do you have in Giant Summit City? This is the Tang family's territory. If you need my help, just ask." Tang Ge asked. "Yes, you saved my family's Guda and Elder Jin. If the Tang family can help, just ask." Tang Tianhao echoed from the side. "I've heard that Master Tang is a famous master artificer, so I've come to ask Master Tang to help me refine a spirit artifact. Unexpectedly, I was mistaken for a swindler. I wanted to leave, but I was stopped by someone, so I had no choice but to defend myself. My subordinate didn't have any sense of propriety, so please forgive me if I've offended you." Ling Xiao tactfully explained his intention. He wanted to see if the Tang family's people were as unreasonable as before. If so, don't blame him for being impolite. Tang Tianhao had heard Tang Da's report before coming, but it wasn't very clear. He immediately asked Tang Bai, "Seventh brother, what's going on?" Tang Bai replied, "It's Ao Ling who felt that these two didn't look like they were here to forge spiritual weapons, so there was an unnecessary misunderstanding. But you two don't put the Tang family in your eyes. First, you hurt Ao Ling, then you killed Tang Shi. Even if you're good as friends, you can't be so excessive. Take the risk. My young master will die." Savage Leopard, who hadn't spoken yet, said with bloodthirsty eyes. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone in the Tang clan changed. "What an arrogant tone. Wait till I capture you first, then I'll properly settle this grudge with you." The other Earth Emperor of the Tang clan shouted in displeasure, and he formed a claw with one hand and grabbed at the Savage Leopard's neck. Tang Jin was shocked and immediately stopped his companion's claw. He shouted, "Old Fu, don't be rude." "Old Jin, why did you stop me?" Tang Fu stared at Tang Jin in confusion. "Let's get to the bottom of this matter first." Tang Jin winked at Tang Fu. Tang Jin might not know the power behind Ling Xiao, but just based on the fact that Ling Xiao could make the four great villains listen to him, he could not easily become enemies with him. Otherwise, it would cause big trouble for the Tang family. "What's there to say? The facts are already in front of us. Old Jin, get out of the way. Let me capture them first, and then we'll deal with them." Tang Fu ignored Tang Jin's wink and shouted. He once again grabbed the Savage Leopard. He thought that it was inconvenient for Tang Jin to make a move because the other party had helped them before. This time, Tang Jin couldn't stop it. Tang Fu's hand had already pinched the neck of the maimed leopard. "Elder Fu, please show mercy," Tang Gaij exclaimed. "Kacha! Ah!" The sound of bones breaking rang out, and an earth-shattering scream resounded throughout the restaurant. Everyone thought that Savage Leopard's neck was broken by Tang Fu, but when they heard the scream, they saw Tang Fu holding his arm and retreating, his old face covered in cold sweat. The people from the Tang family were dumbfounded. Although Tang Fu's strength was slightly weaker than Tang Jin's, he was still a low-level Earth Emperor. They felt that it was inconceivable that his arm was broken by a young man in his early 30s. No wonder someone said that the other party was an Earth Emperor stage expert. It seemed that it was this young man in front of them. "Overestimating yourself," the Savage Leopard said disdainfully and rushed towards Tang Fu. "Please show mercy." Tang Jin shouted and blocked in front of the Savage Leopard. The Savage Leopard also revealed a look of contempt and slapped towards Tang Jin. Tang Jin could only meet it with his fist. Puff! Tang Jin was sent flying by the Savage Leopard's palm. He felt a sweetness in his throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. The Savage Leopard's murderous nature rose, and he wanted to kill Tang Jin and Tang Fu with his palm. The people from the Tang family took out their Xian artifacts and fought with all their might. "All right, come back," Ling Xiao said indifferently. The Savage Leopard unwillingly stopped and returned to Ling Xiao's side. Ling Xiao opened the beauty fan and said to the people from the Tang family, "My subordinate doesn't have any sense of propriety. Please forgive him for his offense." Hearing this, the expressions of the people from the Tang family became unnatural. They were the ones who wanted to capture him, but they were injured by him. They had lost a lot of face. On the other hand, Tang Jin calmed his injuries and said to Ling Xiao,
Thank you, young Master Ling, for showing mercy. Then he said to Tang Tianhao, Patriarch, I think it's necessary to get the people involved to apologize to young Master Ling. I think that with young Master Ling's character, he won't bully ordinary people. Tang Jin already knew that the savage leopard's strength was definitely much higher than his. It was at least the strength of a high-level Earth Emperor. The strength of a servant was already so terrifying. One could imagine how terrifying the power behind Ling Xiao was. Moreover, in their Tang family, the strongest old man was in seclusion. It was not appropriate for them to form a grudge with Ling Xiao. Father, Brother Ling saved my and Elder Jin's lives in Gu City. I think he is definitely not someone who bullies the weak. Moreover, we all know second brother's temper. I think it's better to let second brother apologize to Brother Ling. I believe that Brother Ling will forgive us. Tang Aoling said from the side. At this moment, Tang Tianhao naturally knew that the two young men in front of him were not to be trifled with. Naturally, he would not think that he could bully them in his own territory. Seventh brother, bring that child, Aoling, over to me. Tang Tianhao said. Tang Bai nodded lightly and immediately left the restaurant. Brother Ling, I'm really sorry. It's one thing for not being a good host when you came to our Tang family's territory, but it also made you feel wronged. Tang Aoling apologized to Ling Xiao. Tang Aoling was very clear that people like Ling Xiao should only be befriended and should not be enemies. Moreover, it was worth it for him to put down his pride for the 10 millennia meteoric iron outside. You're too kind. Everyone, please take a seat. Don't spoil the mood for such a small matter. Ling Xiao laughed lightly. He did not treat himself as an outsider and spoke as the host instead. Little brother Ling, you said that you wanted to ask my old man to forge a spirit weapon? Tang Tianhao asked after sitting down. That's right. Everyone in the southern region knows that the Tang family's old man is a spirit weapon master. I have a suitable weapon that I want the old man to forge again. That's why I brought the materials and rushed over. I didn't expect that I would be treated as a liar. It really makes me feel ashamed. Ling Xiao replied as he waved his beautiful fan. I will definitely give little brother Ling an explanation for this, Tang Tianhao replied. He then said, Little brother Ling, you should know that to forge a spirit weapon, you have to prepare your own materials, right? Of course I know the rules. Don't you see the 10 millennia meteoric iron at the door? Isn't it enough to forge a spirit weapon for me? Ling Xiao raised his eyes and asked. Although Ling Xiao didn't know how to forge weapons, he still had some basic knowledge. He also knew a little about how many spirit weapons that 10 millennia meteoric iron could be forged. No. It's enough. But just the 10 millennia meteoric iron isn't enough. I also need a high-level beast core. Tang Tianhao waved his hand. Naturally, there is no need for Patriarch Tang to worry about this. As long as Old Man Tang is willing to help me refine a spirit artifact, Ling Xiao will do everything according to the rules. I will not make things difficult for Patriarch Tang, Ling Xiao replied. That's good. I'll accept this business deal on behalf of my old man, Brother Ling, but... Tang Tianhao responded, and then showed some hesitation. Just say what you want to say. Ling Xiao didn't know what Tang Tianhao was planning. But I want to make a change in the payment, Tang Tianhao said. Ling Xiao frowned slightly. He seemed to have guessed that Tang Tianhao wanted to rip him off at a high price. Tang Tianhao saw that Ling Xiao's expression wasn't right and hurriedly said, Little brother Ling, don't misunderstand. I'm saying that we don't need your Xian crystals for the payment. We want you to exchange the rest of the 10 millennia meteoric iron. How about that? Ling Xiao waved his beautiful fan and laughed. Haha, do you think I'm a 3-year-old child, Master Tang? 10 millennia meteoric iron is rare. It doesn't take much to forge a spirit weapon, but my meteoric iron weighs a few hundred kilograms. It's enough for your Tang family to forge dozens of spirit weapons. You want me to exchange the rest of the 10 millennia meteoric iron? That's too black-hearted. Ling Xiao was a shrewd man. How could he do something that would make him lose money? Tang Tianhao's expression became a little awkward. He originally thought that Ling Xiao didn't know the true value of the 10 millennia meteoric iron. Moreover, the 10 millennia meteoric iron was just an extremely hard stone in the hands of an ordinary person. Its true value could only be displayed in the hands of a weapon forger.
He thought that Ling Xiao would help the Tang family for the spirit weapon. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao was smarter than he thought. Little brother Ling, you misunderstood my father's meaning. He wants you to exchange a portion of the 10 millennia meteoric iron for the payment. The Tang family can buy the other portion from you, or use other items of the same level to exchange for it. Tang Luo's mind worked quickly and he immediately helped his father out. Is that really the case, Master Tang? Ling Xiao asked Tang Tianhao. Tang Tianhao came back to his senses and immediately nodded. That's right. That's what I mean. What do you think, little brother Ling? About this? Ling Xiao showed a look of hesitation. Tang Tianhao thought that Ling Xiao was moved by his son's idea, so he tried to persuade him even more. This 10 millennia meteoric iron is a good item, but it's just useless scrap metal in your hands. Why don't you sell it to the Tang family for a favor? Yes, little brother Ling, sell it to the Tang family. Tang Luo echoed. At this time, Tang Jin also opened his mouth. That's right. As long as young Master Ling sells the remaining dark steel to the Tang family, we will be young Master Ling's friends in the future. That sounds like a good idea, Ling Xiao said, looking a little shaken. The Tang family immediately revealed a look of joy that was hard to detect.
Who knew that cruel leopard would say from the side, "Young master, I think we might be able to get a better price if we auction it at the auction."
The moment Savage Leopard's words came out, the Tang family people practically all had a feeling of wanting to vomit blood. They were clearly about to succeed, but it was actually disrupted by someone else. If they sold it at the auction, they were afraid that the Tang family would have to pay a high price to get it. Although the Tang family was a family of refiners, it didn't mean that other forces didn't have high-level refiners. Just when the Tang family wanted to persuade them again, Tang Bai brought Tang Aoling over. Cruel Leopard's words made them want to vomit blood, but Tang Aoling's words made them want to commit suicide. Haha, little bastard, you actually dared to kill this young master. Now you know how powerful the Tang family is. Quickly kneel down and kowtow to this young master. This young master will give you a quick death. Tang Aoling didn't understand the situation and laughed at Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard. Chapter 425. When Tang Bai went to pick Tang Aoling up, he didn't explain the situation clearly. He thought that no matter how strong Ling Xiao and his brother were, they wouldn't go overboard. As the saying goes, a powerful dragon can't suppress a snake in its territory. He was only worried about what Ling Xiao and his brother would do to Tang Aoling, but he neglected Tang Aoling's arrogant and insufferably arrogant character. Bastard! Tang Tianhao shouted angrily. He turned around and gave Tang Aoling a hard slap. Slap! Tang Aoling didn't know what was going on and was sent flying a few meters away by Tang Tianhao. 2 bloody front teeth fell out of his mouth, and he looked indescribably embarrassed. Tang Aoling was dumbfounded by the slap. Why did his uncle, who had always doted on him, hit him? You little bastard! Come and apologize to little brother Ling. If you don't satisfy him, I'll break your legs. Tang Tianhao shouted at Tang Aoling. Tang Aoling was his second brother's only son, and he had always indulged Tang Aoling's stubborn behavior. But now, it was a matter of the Tang clan's future and whether they could get their hands on the Millennium Meteoric Iron. Unexpectedly, this good-for-nothing nephew of his had first offended him, and now he actually dared to spout such arrogant words. It simply made him want to kill him with one palm. What are you waiting for? Go and apologize to little brother Ling. Tang Jin frowned.
Tang Aoling glanced at the elders of his clan and shivered. He asked in confusion, "Master Great Elder, why did you for an outsider?" Before he could finish, Tang Bai quickly interrupted him. Aoling, you still don't know how to repent? Do you want 7th uncle to send you on your way? When he said this, he kept winking at Tang Aoling. Tang Aoling finally knew that the 2 young men in front of him must have a powerful background. Otherwise, why would the higher-ups of the Tang clan be so nervous and scold him like this? You don't know what's good for you. Go and apologize. Tang Fu glared at Tang Aoling and shouted. He knew that if it wasn't for Tang Aoling, his arm wouldn't have been broken. Although it could recover, it would be a disgrace to him, so he could only vent his anger on Tang Aoling. Tang Aoling shuddered again. Tang Jin and Tang Fu were the pillars of the family, and they had a high status. Now that they were scolding him like this, he did not have the guts to say another word.
He crawled up and bowed slightly to Ling Xiao and Savage Leopard. Sorry. I'm sorry, both of you. When he said this, his eyes were filled with unwillingness. He was the dignified second young master of the Tang family. When had he ever been bullied like this? But now, he could only swallow it down. Ling Xiao didn't respond to Tang Aoling's apology because he could see the dissatisfaction in Tang Aoling's eyes. He thought to himself, look at how reluctant you are. You think I'm the one who forced myself on you. What bad luck. Seeing that Ling Xiao didn't respond, Tang Tianhao snorted coldly. If you can't satisfy little brother Ling, you won't be a disciple of the Tang family in the future. Tang Aoling was scared by Tang Tianhao's words. His whole body softened and he begged. I'm sorry, I looked down on you. It's my fault. Tang Aoling didn't dare to be arrogant anymore. He kept covering his face and cried as he begged Ling Xiao. If he was expelled from the Tang family, he would be dismembered in less than a day. He didn't know how many people he had offended and how many women he had raped. Ling Xiao still had to discuss business with the Tang family, so he didn't want to have a bad relationship with the Tang family.
He waved his hand and said, for the sake of the Tang family, I'll let this matter go.
Next time, watch your eyes before you speak. How can there be a swindler as handsome as me in the world? Thank you. Thank you. Tang Aoling wiped his snot and thanked him repeatedly. He felt lucky that he had escaped this calamity. However, before he could finish, he heard Tang Tianhao's voice. Go back. I'll punish you to forge iron at the foundry peak for 5 years before you can leave. That way, you won't be able to cause trouble all day long. Tang Aoling's heart fell to the bottom. The foundry peak was the place where the lowest position in the Tang family was located. The main purpose of that place was to select the materials that could be forged from the ores that were transported back from various places. After those materials were filtered, they would be forged into various weapon shapes and sent to various departments to be forged into weapons. It could be said that it was the most worthless and the most difficult place. Tang Aoling, who had always been spoiled, had to live in such a place for 5 years. It was as if he was half dead. Looking at Tang Aoling stumbling out of the restaurant, Tang Tianhao sighed in his heart. I hope that his temper can be tempered there. Tang Tianhao turned to Ling Xiao and said, I wonder if little brother Ling is satisfied with this matter? Ling Xiao spread out his hands and said innocently, This is Patriarch Tang's family matter. I really have no right to interfere. Tang Tianhao was truly aggrieved in his heart. This fellow was purely acting obedient after getting Ping Yi, but for the sake of the 10,000-year black iron, he had to endure it. Patriarch Tang, let's get back to business. Other than forging a spirit weapon, I don't want to discuss a big business with you. I wonder if Patriarch Tang is interested? Ling Xiao had already achieved his goal, so he no longer made things difficult for Tang Tianhao and changed the topic. Oh, that's good. Tang Tianhao replied with interest. Just as Ling Xiao was about to speak, Tang Guang said, Father, letting brother Ling talk business with you here is really not the way our Tang family treats our guests. Tang Tianhao lightly slapped his forehead and said, Yes, this Tang is rude. Little brother Ling has just arrived at Giant Summit City. Why don't you come to my Tang family to rest first and let us do our duty as a host? Of course, Ling Xiao had no objections.
He immediately nodded and said, Then I'll have to trouble you.
The restaurant was empty, and all the disciples of the Tang family quickly evacuated. Ling Xiao and the savage leopard followed Tang Tianhao and the others as they flew towards the Tang family. Ling Xiao looked at the land occupied by the Tang family. It was indeed not inferior to an ordinary 8th-grade sect. The land was vast, the mountains were beautiful, and the buildings were majestic and extraordinary. Just as they approached the vicinity of the Tang family, they immediately heard the sound of iron weapons clashing between the mountains. Occasionally, they could even see the shadows of spirit beasts soaring into the sky. It must be an abnormality when a certain profound artifact was completed. Ling Xiao thought to himself, as expected of a refining family. Just this skill alone is enough for them to survive for generations. Ling Xiao followed the people of the Tang family to the main pavilion of the Tang family. After entering an elegant pavilion, someone immediately brought over exquisite spirit fruits and wine. After a round of drinking and chatting, Tang Tianhao finally couldn't help but get to the point. Little brother Ling, What do you think of our proposal? Other than forging a spirit weapon for you, the rest of the 10,000-year black iron can be bought or exchanged with our Tang family. In this aspect, we will definitely satisfy you. Tang family head, this matter is actually very easy to discuss. Ling Xiao said, keeping him in suspense. What do you mean? Tang Tianhao asked doubtfully. Ling Xiao took a sip of the wine and said to Tang Guagua, I believe Brother Tang has seen me in Gu City. Tang Guagua nodded very naturally. Then, Ling Xiao said, actually, you are also curious about my identity. Now, for the sake of the cooperation between the two families, I will tell you my true identity. This is the first time I have revealed my identity. As soon as Ling Xiao said this, it immediately attracted the curiosity of everyone present, especially Tang Guagua and Tang Jin. They had seen Ling Xiao being followed by the four great villains, and now that there was a young high-level Earth Emperor beside him, they couldn't wait to know Ling Xiao's identity. Ling Xiao said seriously, actually, I am the prince consort of the Gu clan. Ling Xiao's words were not false. He was indeed the current prince consort of the Gu clan, but he had another identity that was not convenient to reveal to them. Prince consort of the Gu clan? The people of the Tang family were shocked by Ling Xiao's identity. 10,000 years ago, the Gu clan was the overlord of the southern wasteland. Even the current Devil Shadow sect could not compare to them. This was enough to show the status of the Gu clan in the southern wasteland. The Gu clan had disappeared for 10,000 years, and not many people knew that the Gu clan still had descendants that existed between the boundaries of the Purple Sky sect and the moon-worshipping sect. If it was in the past, the Tang family would definitely be shocked when they heard about the Gu clan. But now, they only felt that it was a little inconceivable. Could it be that the Gu clan was not completely exterminated? I know you are very suspicious, but this is not important. What is important is that I want to rebuild Gu City, and I will welcome my clansmen back soon. Ling Xiao did not explain in detail and continued. Little brother Ling, you said so much, but it doesn't seem to be a big deal with the 10,000-year black iron, right? Tang Tianhao could not help but interrupt him. He muttered in his heart, even if you are the prince consort of the Gu City, it has nothing to do with our Tang family, and it seems to have nothing to do with the 10,000-year black iron. Why are you saying so much nonsense? Ling Xiao replied, this is a big deal. I took out the 10,000-year black iron from the clan's treasury. Other than refining a spirit weapon for me, I hope that it can make the Tang family support us in rebuilding the city in the name of the Tang family. What does the Tang family think? Tang Tianhao frowned and replied, little brother Ling, you think too highly of our Tang family. Other than knowing how to forge iron, our Tang family does not have any other strong points. I am afraid that we do not have the ability to help you rebuild the city. Tang Tianhao's words were obviously a tactful rejection. Even if the other party used the 10,000-year black iron as a deal, he would not help the Gu clan rebuild the city. After all, rebuilding a city required a huge amount of money and manpower, and it was not something that could be completed in a day and night, so he could not accept it. Tang family head, you have misunderstood me. Listen to me first, Ling Xiao replied, then continued. As for the rebuilding of the city, there will naturally be people who will help me with this matter. I only need the Tang family head to support our auction in Gu City, and provide us with high-grade profound weapons or spirit weapons to auction in the name of the Tang family. Of course, the related income will still belong to the Tang family, and we will take a smaller commission than other auctions. You mean to say that you want the Tang family to provide the goods for the auction in Gu City? Tang Tianhao replied. Yes, that is what I mean, Ling Xiao replied with a nod. Father, I think this is worth considering, Tang Gu interrupted from the side. Tang Tianhao glanced at his son. Of course, he knew that his son did not want the 10,000-year black iron to slip away from his hands. How could he not want it too? It was just that the implications were a little big, and he had to consider it carefully. Chapter 426. The Tang clan had been rooted in the southern wasteland for many years, so there was no need to explain their blacksmithing skills. However, just like the old saying, rely on the mountain, rely on the water. The Tang clan naturally relied on blacksmithing to make a living. The Tang clan provided a certain amount of resources to the auctions in the various cities of the southern wasteland,
and the Divine Dao City's auction was one of them. Tang Tianhao's concern was that the Divine Dao City and Gu City were neighbors, so the auction was naturally very close to each other. He was afraid that there would be a conflict, and the Tang clan could only provide resources to one of the auctions. The Tang clan and the Divine Dao City's auction had been working together for many years, so they obviously did not want to give up so easily. However, this 10,000-year-old meteoric iron was not something that the Divine Dao Union could take out. This put Tang Tianhao in a difficult position. The Gu clan was once a large clan. Although they were almost exterminated, the power that Ling Xiao showed now should not be inferior to the many powers in the southern region. However, although the deity Dao Union was a large sect that had only developed in the past 1,000 years, there was no need to doubt its accumulations and strength. Even if their Tang clan had a longer history, they knew that they could not compare to the current deity Dao Union. Naturally, they could not let go of that 10,000-year-old meteoric iron, but they had to think about how to deal with it. Tang clan head, this is too abrupt. I will stay in the city for 3 more days. Whether I agree or not, I will leave. Ling Xiao knew that Tang Tianhao would not agree immediately, so he delayed the time for a few days to let him think about it. However, just as Ling Xiao was about to leave, he turned his head towards the Tang family and said, "That's right, I think I still have a piece of something called 10,000-year deep silver. I used a profound level weapon to slash it but was unable to break it. It should be a pretty good refining material. If Grandfather Tang is willing to help me refine a spiritual weapon, I would like to add some of this material into it." 10,000-year-old deep silver? Everyone in the Tang clan cried out in surprise, their faces filled with shock. "Brother Ling, where is your 10,000-year-old deep silver? Can you take it out for me to see?" Tang Lingua was the first to grab Ling Xiao's hand and said excitedly. Ling Xiao skillfully broke away from Tang Guogua's hand and said, "Brother Tang, I am not interested in men. I think you have found the wrong person." Tang Guoda knew that he was being rude, so he scratched the back of his head and laughed dryly. "Brother Ling, I'm sorry, I was too excited. I'm not interested in men either." At this moment, Tang Tianhao rushed to say, "Little brother Ling, you really have 10,000-year deep silver." Maybe a little," Ling Xiao said hesitantly. "A little? Is it this big?" Tang Tianhao gestured with his palm. His hand gesture was about the size of a human head. A little bigger than that," Ling Xiao said hesitantly. Tang Tianhao looked delighted and gestured again. "Is it this big again?" He made a hugging gesture with his hands, indicating whether it was as big as 2 people's heads put together. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment before saying, "I think it's a little bigger than this." This time, Tang Tianhao wasn't the only one who was delighted. Even the members of the Tang family revealed heated expressions. "Can Brother Ling take it out for us to see?" Tang Guoda licked his lips. "This isn't too good?" Ling Xiao said with a troubled expression. "We're just looking." Tang Tianhao rubbed his hands. Yes, we're just looking." The members of the Tang family replied in unison. "I paid a huge price to get this from the river," Ling Xiao said unwillingly, as if the 10,000-year deep silver was his lifeblood. The members of the Tang family were anxious. 10,000-year deep silver was a rare top-grade material like 10,000-year dark steel. A normal spirit tool could be forged into a low-grade spirit tool by adding any one of the materials. If 2 materials were added at the same time, the spirit tool's grade would increase greatly. To the Tang family, which had always been lacking top-grade materials, this was a huge temptation. "Brother Ling, as long as you can take out the 10,000-year deep silver, I'll promise you on behalf of my father to supply the Gu City auction," Tang Guoda said as he patted his chest. He had been obsessed with spirit tool forging since he was young, which was why he was already a 5th-grade spirit tool forging master at such a young age. Now that there was a top-grade material appearing, he was naturally more anxious than anyone else. Tang Tianhao knew that he was going to fall into Ling Xiao's trap this time, so he could only reply with a smile. "Yes, Brother Ling, just take it out for us to see. If it really is 10,000-year deep silver, our Tang family will definitely support the Gu City auction." Ling Xiao finally revealed a faint smile and said, "All right, seeing that Patriarch Tang and Brother Tang are so enthusiastic, I'll let you see." With that, Ling Xiao took out the piece of 10,000-year deep silver that he had obtained from the Long Tao River. Bang! A large piece of 10,000-year deep silver heavily smashed onto the stone slabs on the ground, and the ground immediately caved in. The members of the Tang family all looked at the piece of 10,000-year deep silver, which was no smaller than 10,000-year dark steel, with their mouths wide open. They were all secretly exclaiming, "Didn't you say it was only a little? How could there be so much? This is too much, but I like it." They had originally thought that according to Ling Xiao's description, the 10,000-year deep silver in his hands should only be a few dozen kilograms. They didn't expect that he would take out a few hundred kilograms, which made them go wild with joy. It's really 10,000-year deep silver," Tang Guagua said excitedly as he looked at the huge stone that was flashing with silver light. His eyes were as if he had seen a peerless beauty, and he couldn't wait to immediately possess her. The rest of the Tang family members also had the same expression. With the 10,000-year dark steel and the 10,000-year deep silver, they could definitely forge more than 100 spirit artifacts within 100 years. It would allow their Tang family to reach an unprecedented level of prosperity, allowing their Tang family's strength to advance by a large step. However, they also knew that the two rare materials in front of them did not belong to the Tang family. If they wanted to obtain them, the price they had to pay could be imagined. If it was an ordinary martial artist, they could use both carrot and stick methods to snatch it away. However, facing the Gu race's son-in-law, they really didn't know what to do. "Little brother Ling, regarding the problem you mentioned earlier, I think I can use the Tang family's name to decide to support your Gu City auction. Our Tang family will provide at least 10 rank 4 profound artifacts and 5 rank 5 profound artifacts for you to auction every month. Furthermore, we will provide at least 1 spirit artifact for you to auction every year. The condition is that you must sell the 10,000-year dark steel and 10,000-year deep silver to our Tang family. How about it?" Tang Tianhao immediately changed his original intention and said. He felt that even if he had to risk offending the deity Dao Union, he had to keep these two materials in the Tang family. Tang Tianhao originally thought that Ling Xiao would readily agree after hearing this. Who knew that Ling Xiao revealed a look of deep thought and said, "Tang family head, I know that you are in a difficult position, but for you to agree to my request for these 2 lousy stones, I feel very uneasy. How about this? You can think about it carefully. I'm really not in a hurry." Actually, no one knew the importance of these 2 materials to the Tang family better than Ling Xiao. Thinking back to when he was in Meteor City, his adoptive father, Li Rong, was a rank 3 blacksmith. Although he did not learn any blacksmithing techniques from Li Rong, he had a simple understanding of the preciousness of some blacksmithing materials. What he was doing now was completely retreating in order to advance, to fight for a bigger bargaining chip for himself. To be honest, although these 2 materials were precious, they were really useless in his hands. Unless he really threw them into the auction, they would only be kept as decorations. When the Tang family people heard Ling Xiao call the 10,000-year dark steel and 10,000-year deep silver lousy stones, they all cursed in their hearts. "You're not in a hurry, but we're in a hurry. You really have eyes but you can't see. That's a top-quality treasure. What an ignorant outsider. Why don't you throw those lousy stones at us? Little brother Ling, we don't need to think about this anymore. In the name of the Tang family's patriarch, I can promise you right now." Tang Tianhao once again patted his chest and promised. "That's not very good. I, Ling Xiao, have never liked to force others. I think you should think about it carefully. In any case, I haven't left Giant Summit City in a short period of time," Ling Xiao said very magnanimously. Tang Tianhao looked anxious. Just as he was about to say something, Tang Gu said, "Brother Ling is right. We have to think about it carefully. How about this? Brother Ling can stay in our Tang family for the next few days and take a look at our Tang family's blacksmithing skills." Tang Tianhao looked at his son and immediately came to a realization. "That's right, little brother Ling. You should stay and take a look at our Tang family's blacksmithing skills. It will definitely make you feel that this trip is not in vain. Moreover, if you want to forge a spirit weapon, we still have to ask the old man before we can decide." His son had interrupted them well. They were too eager. Anyone could see that they had an extreme desire for the 10,000-year dark steel and 10,000-year deep silver. However, this also let others know of their eagerness, so they would definitely increase their purchase or exchange chips in this aspect. Then, they had to carefully consider how to face Ling Xiao's lion's mouth. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment before saying, "Since the Tang family's patriarch and brother Tang are so enthusiastic, then I will nag." "Gu Luo,
Arrange for little brother Ling and this lord to rest first. You must properly entertain these two esteemed guests. Tomorrow, you will bring them to visit our forging grounds. Tang Tianhao instructed. Father, don't worry. I will definitely not treat these two distinguished guests poorly. Tang Goluo replied. For the sake of the 10,000-year dark steel and 10,000-year deep silver, the Tang family's father and son had lowered their stance to the extreme. With their Tang family's status in the southern region, how many people could be treated like this? Even if it was someone from another aristocratic family, they wouldn't be so enthusiastic. After Tang Goluo brought Ling Xiao and the savage leopard down, Tang Jin immediately said to Tang Tianhao in a serious tone, Patriarch, no matter what price you pay, you must obtain these two materials. Tang Fu also agreed from the side. That's right, those two materials are definitely more than 10,000 years old. They might even be older. Using them to forge spirit weapons is definitely the best choice. Who knows, they might even be able to help the old man reach the 7th stage. Hearing Tang Fu's words, Tang Tianhao's eyes flashed with a determined light. Elder Jin, follow me to find the old man. Tang Tianhao said to Tang Jin and immediately rushed out of the pavilion. Chapter 427. In an inconspicuous mountain range behind the peaks of the Tang family, there was an iron gate made of 1,000-year black iron. The iron gate was engraved with mysterious spirit patterns, emitting waves of strong aura. At a glance, this iron gate was actually comparable to an ordinary 5th-grade defensive Xian artifact. An ordinary Xian artifact would not be able to break through these two huge iron gates. This was the forbidden area at the back of the Tang family's mountain, which was also the place where the Tang family's old master had closed off. When Tang Tianhao and Tang Jin arrived, waves of spiritual energy fluctuations immediately came from all directions. It was obvious that someone was hiding nearby. The old man has already been closed for 2 years. I wonder if he has succeeded in breaking through now. Tang Tianhao muttered as he looked at the iron gate. Tang Jin said, to take that step, not only does he need a large amount of resources, he also needs a strong comprehension ability. The old man has focused on refining for most of his life. Otherwise, with his 10 bin, he would have broken through that step long ago. When Tang Jin spoke, his eyes were filled with incomparable worship. Tang Jin was originally not a member of the Tang family. He was taken in as a servant by the old master Tang when he was traveling in his early years, and he had always followed the old master, achieving his current status. Later on, he was even bestowed the surname Tang by the old master, and his status in the Tang family was even higher than the other direct descendants of the Tang family's previous generation elders. He must have the most loyal heart to the Tang family, and this was also the reason why the old master of the Tang family focused on nurturing him. Tang Tianhao walked in front of the iron gate, knelt down, kowtowed and called out. Tianhao pleads for the old master to come out of seclusion. There is something important for the old master to decide. After a long time, an old voice came from behind the iron gate. What's the matter? Someone brought 10,000-year iron and 10,000-year deep silver to ask the old master to refine a spirit weapon. I think this business can be accepted, so I came to disturb the old master, Tang Tianhao said respectfully. There was no movement behind the iron gate again. Tang Tianhao and Tang Jin were puzzled. Could it be that the old master is not interested? Just as Tang Tianhao was about to say something again, the iron gate rumbled and opened. A tall figure shrouded in flames slowly walked out of the cave. Old Master Tang was an old man who was more than 600 years old. 600 years had left countless marks on his face, but his back was still straight, and his arms were still strong and powerful. The aura he exuded made people want to worship him. He was the most famous spiritual tools grandmaster in the southern region and the true pillar of the Tang family. As long as he existed, the Tang family would prosper. 300 years ago, he had forged spirit weapons for the Devil Shadow Sect's Sect Master and the Beast Alliance's Alliance Master. At that time, his name began to spread in the southern region, and he became a new noble in the southern region. Now that 300 years had passed, the people of the southern region were still talking about him enthusiastically. Tang Jin greets Master. When Tang Jin saw the elder of the Tang family, he immediately knelt down and greeted respectfully. However, before Tang Jin's knees touched the ground, He saw the elder of the Tang family waving his hand gently. He could no longer kneel down. Tang Jin, although you and I are master and servant in name, in reality, we are brothers. How many times have I said that you don't need to bow when you see me? How many times do I have to say it? Old Master Tang said to Tang Jin with a hint of reproach. Tang Jin straightened his body and replied, Master's strength has increased by another level. Tang Jin is happy for you. Although he had no way of knowing how powerful Elder Tang was, he could sense that he had become much stronger than he used to be. Old Master Tang shook his head and asked Tang Tianhao, Tianhao, you said that someone brought 10,000-year black iron and 10,000-year deep silver to refine a spirit weapon? I wonder which power he belongs to? Tang Tianhao nodded and replied, the person who came is the prince consort of the Gu clan. What clan's prince consort? Old Master Tang snorted unhappily. Then, his old eyes bloomed with surprise as he asked, which Gu clan are you talking about? It's the Gu clan that disappeared. Now they have reappeared, Tang Tianhao replied. Old Master Tang's eyelids twitched slightly. Then he laughed and said, Interesting. Interesting. I didn't expect that the great clan from 10,000 years ago did not go extinct. Now that they have made a comeback, I wonder if they still have the same domineering attitude as before. Old Master, have you reached that step now? Tang Tianhao asked carefully. In front of him as the patriarch, he had to carefully serve him. One had to know that the old master's temper had always been very fiery. If you made him unhappy, even if you were the patriarch, you would still have to teach him a lesson. Back then, before Tang Tianhao became the patriarch, he had taken a lot of care. Tang Jin also looked at Old Master Tang's expression, as if he wanted to know the answer. Old Master Tang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Half a step away. Half a step away. Tang Tianhao and Tang Jin were stunned for a moment, but in the end, a happy smile appeared on their faces. Half a step away meant that they had already taken half a step. Half a step, even if it was half a step, was still a huge leap. It was enough to show disdain for anyone below half a step. You guys can leave first. In 2 days, bring the Gu clan's prince consort to see me. I want to see what the Gu clan has to make me take action, Old Master Tang said arrogantly. Although the Gu clan was a great clan from 10,000 years ago, things were different now. The current Gu clan was not as scary as they were 10,000 years ago, but the Gu clan had only sent a prince consort to forge a spirit artifact. This seemed to be very arrogant, so Old Master Tang also wanted to make things difficult for the Gu clan's prince consort. He wanted to see if the younger generation of the Gu clan had the confidence to make a grandmaster like him, who had been famous for hundreds of years, take action. How could Tang Tianhao not understand Old Master Tang's meaning? He immediately explained, Old Master. He brought 10,000-year iron and 10,000-year deep silver. He was afraid that he didn't know that the other party had brought valuable materials, so he emphasized once again. Old Master Tang said disdainfully, So what? It's not like I haven't seen it before. Old Master, it's different this time. Tang Tianhao said anxiously. He wanted to explain that the amount of 10,000-year iron and 10,000-year deep silver was very large, and not just a little bit. Before he could finish, Old Master Tang waved his hand and interrupted him. No need to say any more. We'll talk after I see that kid. With that, Old Master Tang entered the cave in a flash, and the metal door closed with a bang. Old Master. Tang Tianhao called out again. Unfortunately, he didn't hear a reply. Tang Jin said from the side, Let's go back. Since the old master has agreed to see that kid, he will definitely be overjoyed when he sees those two things. Tang Tianhao sighed and said, Elder Jin, you don't understand. If I don't make it clear now, when the old master sees those two things, he will definitely say that I didn't make it clear. This crime will fall on my head again. Hee, Patriarch, you don't have to worry. The old master has always been very open-minded. He won't blame you. Tang Jin chuckled. Tang Tianhao's expression was a little unnatural. He thought to himself, He has always been open-minded, but he only became open-minded after venting his anger. Ling Xiao stayed in the Tang family for 2 days. In these 2 days, Tang Guagua personally brought Ling Xiao to visit the Tang family's iron forging pavilion, the smelting field, and the inscription peak. Ling Xiao finally had a new understanding of the Tang family's refining techniques. The Tang family was different from other forging workshops.
They had a very detailed division of labor, and there would be a special person in charge of every order. Finally, before the weapon was out of the furnace, there would be a special master to check the quality of the weapon. Only after passing the master's eyes could the weapon be produced. Once they found any flaws, they would have to be eliminated or reforged again.
Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh at the scale and management of an ancient family. It was really not something a small family could compare to. It was no wonder that they could maintain the title of the #1 blacksmith family for so long. At this time, Tang Guagua was on his way to the artifact forging pool on the main peak with Ling Xiao. This main peak was where the Tang family was located, and it was controlled by the patriarch of each generation. If one wasn't a direct descendant of the Tang family, very few people would be able to take even half a step near this place. Now that Tang Guagua had brought Ling Xiao to visit the artifact forging pool, it was enough to show how much importance he placed on Ling Xiao. "Brother Ling, what do you think of my Tang family's artifact forging place?" Tang Guagua asked with a hint of pride. Ling Xiao replied seriously, "This is the largest artifact forging place I've ever seen. Your Tang family's artifact forging skills are indeed worthy of their reputation." "Haha, my Tang family's artifact forging skills have been passed down for nearly 10,000 years. It can be said that no one in the southern region can compare to my Tang family, so Brother Ling, coming to our Tang family to refine spirit artifacts is definitely the best choice," Tang Guagua said proudly. In the past 2 days, the two of them had quickly become familiar with each other, and their conversation was no longer as distant as before. As the two chatted, they quickly arrived at a spacious place facing the sun halfway up the main peak. This place was guarded by a large number of experts from the Tang family, and there were also glittering runes surrounding it. They were on high alert at all times.
"Greetings, young master."
The leader of the guards around the artifact forging pool respectfully called out to Tang Guagua. "All right, you can leave now. I've brought our esteemed guest here to take a look." Tang Guagua waved his hand, dismissing the guard, and then brought Ling Xiao inside. As soon as they stepped into the surroundings of the artifact forging pool, waves of heat assaulted their nostrils. The high temperature of the air was abnormally uncomfortable. Tang Guagua didn't seem to feel uncomfortable at all when he arrived here. Instead, he seemed to be extremely comfortable. Ling Xiao was just about to circulate his ice chi to resist the heat, but unexpectedly, the blue demon fireball in his sea of consciousness had quietly changed. It actually took the initiative to absorb the heat that was surging towards it. This was the first time this had happened, and Ling Xiao only felt a little surprised. Could it be that the heavenly lightning fire here is also beneficial to the blue demon fireball? As they walked inside, they saw a 100-meter-wide fire pool. The flashing purple waves of fire were constantly surging within the fire pool, and that frighteningly high temperature made it difficult for ordinary people to approach. This artifact forging pool really is an eye-opener. Ling Xiao looked at the surging fire pool and couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. This was simply a miniature version of a volcano that was isolated from lava.
If Ling Xiao hadn't entered the crater of a volcano and faced even more frightening waves of fire, he would have been frightened by this spectacular scene.
Tang Guagua smiled and said, "This place has been accumulating lightning fire for many years, making it the best place to forge artifacts. However, ordinary profound artifacts can't withstand the lightning fire here. Only high-level materials for refining spirit artifacts can withstand the flames here. Truly a wondrous place." Ling Xiao exclaimed in admiration once again. The blue demon fireball in his sea of consciousness actually had an urge to rush out, causing Ling Xiao to have a bad feeling. You're tuning in to the Wisdom Diary YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.